There it is.
Is it
Austin,
Rick?
I thought you were starting.
Wait, what? Wait. How do you start? What happens? I thought you start.
I thought you were gonna start. You're hosting too, man.
No.
We're
I
off
don't
to
know
a
how
great
to.
start,
I've never
ladies and
worked. I've
gents.
never worked this before. I don't
Who's
even know how to connect to YouTube right now, dude. You're like totally. It's
who's
all
recording
you.
right now? Or is it just recording to YouTube?
Oh, it's live. It's live.
Oh, it's live.
Oh,
Yeah.
we're good. We're good.
Extreme delay.
We're good.
Hey, yeah, we're good. We're good.
Okay, we're
We'll
good.
do it
Hello,
live.
everybody. Hello. This is the Dungeon World. Yeah, there we go. The Dungeon World chat with Austin, your host, and Jalen over there, hosting the channel.
Hey,
And today we have Tim, who is muted microphone. We have Chris, and we have Blaze. If you guys want to introduce yourself. Good. Yeah, I think you guys all know everyone. Tim from Tim Power Gamer. Chris, I don't actually know you. You can introduce yourself if you want. But he's been
That's
on the
okay,
show
Austin. I'll know
before,
you
so I
either.
think you guys know. I think you guys. It's okay.
Well, for anyone who watches TBI's live streams, they should recognize me.
Yeah, there you go. And then Blaze from his good old blog. There we go.
Yes.
Blog. That's the one.
you're
Yeah.
so ready to say channel, man.
Anyways, I'm your host, and today we're going to talk about adventures, dungeon enemies, and mixed. We're going to start with adventures. We don't actually have a lot of adventure players in the chat right now. It's only me. I know everyone else plays dungeon enemy and mixed, but oh well.
I mean, granted, when I first started, I played adventurers until I found out the brokenness. I mean, well, not so much the brokenness. I just saw the cards of mix, and I was like, you know what? Let me try this, and I never looked back.
Well, see, that starts us off pretty good. We can talk about the theme of adventures, and I guess that I should talk about why I got into the deck. Personally, when I first saw the entire release, like the very beginning of magazine promos and whatnot, I was very interested in the deck because it was very very focused on just the RPG elements, and they did it really well in my opinion. They had mission cards, which even though nowadays I'm not really a fan of, and I'll talk about that later. They focused on making it seem like you're actually playing a game inside a game, as the anime likes to talk about. So it's like you're actually playing an RPG. You have all these companions, and it's really awesome about that. And the art was pretty adorable, so I kind of got into that. But the cards themselves are somewhat decent. Some are not. Some are really good, like Tetsuya. Some are really bad.
Like Ochre Glazer.
Like, what is that size 1 that has penetrate in its...
Yeah, like I just said
Glazer.
Ochre Glazer.
Ochre Glazer.
Not Jalen. Don't talk shit about Ochre Glazer. He won me a game.
Hey, he's cool, but there's some other better ones. I'm just saying. So, adventures themselves. Where to begin? Right now, so when Set 3 came out, they were very focused on Tetsuya and Drum. They didn't have much. Their best game plan was rushing for impact and win, or you could just go with mixed and do the grind game. But pretty much just trying to rush as fast as possible. And so far, Bushiroad has pushed that mechanic as much as they can. So right now the deck has been a very good rush deck. Rush decks, as some may not know, some may know, they're very just go swing face heavy. Sometimes you go for the sidelines, depending. Sometimes you don't. Mostly you don't. Mostly you just go face as much as possible.
Face is the place.
Face all day, every day. And unfortunately, since you're going face, that means your stats aren't all that good. The idea of adventures are, of course, link attacking. So your stats are not on par as some other stats. You're kind of like, well, you got really good effects, but your stats are kind of bad, which means you get walled by all things. But Bushiroad has managed to fix that recently a little bit. They gave us a lot of 5Ks. And this is where, yeah, they gave us a lot of things that can hit over walls. With the new set that came out, and that's the thing I'm going to be talking about the most with adventures, because that's, we all know about Set 3 adventures. The new Miracle Impact, we haven't been able to see much about it. So I'm going to try to go on more about those cards and how I feel they're good in an adventure deck. And the first one I want to talk about is Shido, actually.
Oh,
one of my favorite cards. No? Yeah, Deshido. I'm sure you know us, Chris. You play him. I'm not sure how many copies you play him at.
I play two. I play two.
You play two? Yeah, I do too. I really like the card.
Do I need to tell do I need to tell the story how he won me a game? It was the funniest thing ever.
Go for it. Let's hear it.
Okay, I was at Springfest. I was doing the mirror. Dude was at, if I remember correctly, dude was at 6 and had Brave Drum in center. And like he kills my Tetsuya, triggering my hot springs. I get some other fucking adventurer card in Shido. Draw, charge, draw, top deck it to another Shido. I was like, call both Shidos. Shadow dive drum directly. I'm like, if he has Shelsana or a crossbow, I lose. He didn't. Put him down to 2. Final phase, dead end. I was like, game. No, keep in mind that was game 3, and that was after he shat talk impact.
That's one of the great things about Shido is that if you're running the impact, it allows you to set up for impact plays. Oh, so good. It's like you can get there in size 3s, which are kind of like the bane of Adventure's existence, which is really weird because you think Adventures boss fights should be good at fighting size 3s. It's kind of the contrary.
Yeah, they get walled so hard, body.
Definitely.
It's not even funny.
It's walling is too much, but Shido helps. He gets over all those.
Yeah.
However,
No.
the new
Under.
I remember.
Under.
No, I remember. I also trolled the fuck out of this Aussie player at WCQ because what happened was he dropped Aussie, like swung at me for 3. I was like, okay, whatever. I called Shido, and basically what had happened was I had dead end in my hand. So I wouldn't even kill Ozzy. I just kept poking him directly, and since Dragonine, no shields, so I'm like poke for 2, poke for 2. Then when I finally kill the Ozzy, I'm like, go ahead, get stupid sword, dead end, GG.
GG, no re. But that leads into a problem right now. As you guys know, the meta right now is going to come up to Hero World, and Shido doesn't do anything against Hero World. So
yeah.
What do you guys think?
Just 410 attack and 410 defense don't do well against transform.
I cry every time.
It makes me very conflicted because now I'm like, well, I used to main deck Shido inside Shido, and in size 3 and mirror matches and whatnot, I'd side in Shido. But now if Hero World are going to be running rampant, I'm not even sure if I should main deck Shido and just leave him in side deck entirely. What do you guys think?
Oh, I'll still main deck Shido. If anything, that's just leaves him as charge fodder and chuck fodder for Glory Seeker for me.
The whole thing I have against Shido was always even before Hero World was big, I just hated if you drew Shido against say even go to Arc or Raging Spirits, it's just terrible in those matchups. Maybe enemies if they run front off. I mean that's always but they always did well against the other Ancient World decks, size 3 base decks.
Oh, Seeger, 3 Shidos.
But
GG.
I mean, the problem with Shido now, especially with the whole balancing of him, his stats and his size make him prime target for so much shit. It's sad. Now Ancient World they already had Dragon Thunder. Now they have the better Draconic Thunder clone with Ryobokushi, and now it's just too hard. It's too hard for him to just go in for all the damage without some kind of risk.
Yeah.
It's tough.
That's
really tough.
Yeah.
It also doesn't help that adventurers don't have a Drago energy clone to increase the power to make their stats not be killed off by certain restricted.
I've been begging for that for years.
Same here. No,
I've been
begging for that for years.
Not stupid Alerta. I hate Alerta.
And they also don't have any kind of spell negation or any type of Drago Bond clone to keep their units on the field. If they get counter destroyed, they are gone, and they don't have any means of summoning things during the battle phase. So the biggest weakness right now that I think adventurers have is that if they're fighting any deck that has any kind of reasonable amount of opposing turn control, they lose out pretty heavily.
Mostly Dragon World.
Like most decks, Darkness Dragon World's a hard matchup.
Yeah.
Darkness Dragon World, regular Dragon World, basically anything that can rush, wall, and counter removal.
It's that the fact that we just get so hurt by anything that destroys monsters, which a lot of worlds are getting now. A lot of worlds are getting it. It's getting a little bit devastating. We don't have a way to deal with it. Most ways you would deal with it in just normal gameplay standards are to play size 3s. But adventurers really don't have any good size 3s to play. They have one, which is Gao, and he doesn't have any double attack. So it's like,
And
Amigo!
Amigo doesn't exist. Really?
Yeah, and 9 times out of 8, even if you are going to be playing it, it's going to be to the right.
So it's like
it's good to have a weapon.
I feel like the worst thing about just even counter removal. The only one that even lacks like counter removal in general is Ledge World itself, and then even that if you're playing against heroes or hero/fairy or whatever the fuck you want to say,
Caliburn
just
Glyph.
Caliburn Wave. Caliburn Wave.
Oh, Caliburn.
Then if you're playing
Caliburn's another
freaking
card.
like mission cards, then mission cards will go away too. It's just devastating.
Caliburn absolutely. That's one of the other things that devastate Dungeon World right now is Caliburn. And so, since instead of just talking about hey what devastates the deck, I should probably mention what you can do to prevent this. For the Brave Machines, I'm probably gonna side out Shido. I'm gonna run a lot of 5Ks. So such as Zanya and Tsuku in main deck. Tsuku is a golden boy. Even if your opponent casts counter destruction on the card, you're kind of
like he was gonna die anyway. So
he was gonna die anyways. You already got the effect. Good.
Like I already got my advantage. You just helped me out.
As for Caliburn, that card absolutely devastates. Once they if they get it off on you as an adventure player, it really hurts you.
All right, guys.
Yeah.
Anti-Caliburn is Emperor Shield.
No.
The worst part is if you put your mission cards on the field. Oh no. Mission cards are done too. What I do to counter that is I main deck. Well, of course, he's still main deck the drum. I've actually gone down on my drum, but I've actually put him back up because of Caliburn. It's just you kind of need. I don't really enjoy running drum. I'd rather run a few other things, but he's kind of I'm a little bit iffy on him. There's no size 0 adventure, so in Pier he's kind of like, well, he's cool, but he's not fantastically cool. But right now I feel like he needs to go back up. So if you weren't already playing 4, you've been thinking about dropping him, I recommend keeping him up at like a 2 or 3 or 4 even.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Drum always puts in work.
It's that soul guard that allows you to avoid nonsensical destructions.
No. Emperor Shield. What are you talking about?
Oh my god, dude. Blade
no Emperor Shield.
Pay 5 gauge.
Shield.
Pay 4 gauge.
Pay 5. It's 5.
No,
it's
Emperor
5.
Shield is 5 unless. I think the only thing Emperor Shield would work in is if you're playing Judgment deck. Like, just before you get out Judgment, have 2 turrets and just.
Oh, Jalen knows about the Judgment.
I'm talking about mainly Darkness Dragon World Judgment, like the one that only.
Okay.
Fuck that. It's all about Legend Judgment.
This is gonna be a really quick tangent and then back to Austin. But I was playing at my locals with dungeon enemies, and my opponent was playing fairies. And he Caliburn waved, then used the fairy destruction card on my weapon, and I lost double Demon Lord Castle, and I just auto lost. It was the worst feeling ever. I'm trying to think of siding 2 Emperor Shields.
My nigga, I just got indigestion from that story.
I would tell you.
Just kidding, but I freaking wish I had some anti-impact in this freaking deck.
No,
Alright, back
but the problem is dungeon. It doesn't work in dungeon enemies because when I get back onto when at Austin's done with adventures, I'll get onto how that just doesn't work.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, it could have worked.
But back to Austin. That's tangent over.
Yeah.
Well, there's another card. There he is, Noboru. Everyone knows Noboru. He's a big hype child of set 1. No, just kidding. Actually, booster 1. Noboru is, in my opinion, I like him.
Honestly, in my opinion, the only triple in that set that deserves its triple spot. Honestly.
Well, actually.
What
I'm
about
talking about
Messiah,
Masai Tsuku in a little bit, because I'll be talking about Masai Tsuku in the entire stream. I used to not like him when he first came out. When I first saw him, I'm like, oh, this card's garbage. God, here we go, another Tsuku that's terrible. Thanks, Bushy Road. Nobody wanted this. Then I found out, wait, he's actually really good if you run Oracle, the discard spell, because you can go throw your entire hand out. You can go 4 attack, Zanya with Tetsuya and him, and then kind of do some cool damage output things. But Noboru, I focus my build around that, which leads back into Noboru. I'm not actually that big of a fan of him as everyone else is. I like him as a card. I think he does great things, but as a 4-of, I'm indifferent. I'm a little bit indifferent. He's really good, but he's really good. He's a size 2. He has moved. He's 6'1", He's like he does so many things. Like what in the world?
Anthem effect. It has moved. Yeah.
But with Forward Party being a mandatory play right now in Adventures because you don't have much else, you don't like if you need room for other size 2 adventures, don't be afraid to drop them down to 3 or even forbid 2 and put one in the side deck.
Son, I run 2.
Oh no,
There
you
you
only
go,
have 6 copies left.
But it's like
But he should be a 2-of though, right?
with
Always.
Full Party, you have so many copies of a card, like you don't have to worry about it, and you don't need to
Yeah.
max it. He's a great card, and he'll get even better once we get Hanako.
Plus, not to mention, with the whole move, like, unless you're up against a deck that's counter removal deck, he pretty much sets up Nozaru, which gets him back anyway.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I think
So
the
it's just
main
like-
appeal to him is his
You don't need it.
I mean, I would have said his 5K defense is notably good for him, but like we know, there's no real Dragon Energy clone or even anything such of the sort for it. So I don't really want to say 5K defense is downright great, but like
Right.
I think the main thing is he's free and he's got 6K power.
Definitely.
Yeah,
He's
like,
kind
in all honesty, like, 5K defense is good, but nothing too great, just so they make them all balanced overall. I mean, honestly, wall breaker with move, free, no gauge
Right.
cost. I mean, granted, yeah, granted, 5K defense is like barely anything in this game anymore, but it's still noticeable in decks like let's say like the Magic matchup if they don't fucking sack Asmodai on you.
Yeah. And there's
Or
the thing
magical
is,
goodbyes and other such.
Essentially, yeah.
the thing is, the reason. Well, for my personal build, I only run. How many adventures? I'm pretty sure I only run 6 adventures. Size 2s. Size 2 adventures. Because in my pure adventure build, I run a focus on size 1s because I'm a Masaya Tsuku, and I need room for drum so I don't lose to Legend World. So because his need for drum at 3 or 2, I have to bump down Naboru to like 3. And then there's Quinsway, the trial deck card, the 4/3/2 penetrate.
Oh, the one that gets penetrate on link attack. That card is still good to this day. I don't care what anyone says.
I actually really like the card in a Dungeon World or a adventure specific deck. I think that card helps in your mirror match so much because most dungeon players, well, way back when it's at 3, most Dungeon World players will put a monster in the center, mainly drum. So now if you see any person or any player just in general playing a close center tight, you can side deck 2 in or main deck 2 as a 3 critical and just helps you rush face and does great things. But it's like, well, if you max in the road, you really can't run it.
We have a question about Akatsuki. If it's
Akatsuki.
Austin will get to him.
Good old Akatsuki. Actually, no, I forgot about Akatsuki because I don't play him. But I can talk
Wait,
about
what?
him. I know, I hate Akatsuki. And I'll talk about him. There's a reason.
Wait, well, Austin, you played him against me on Yeah.
No, that was my mid. I don't know if I like Akatsuki phase. So what happened? It basically came out. Akatsuki came out, and I'm like, Akatsuki's he's amazing. I love him. I thought he was God's gift to Dungeon World, and I was like, this card is great. He makes your defeat monsters go faster. He makes your teamwork go faster.
Your teamwork faster.
He's awesome. He can do fantastic things. He allows your deck to go fast and your mission cards to keep up. That's my original thought. So I maxed him. Maxing him didn't work out as I thought. He'd be a little bit cloggy. He was critical. So I went down to 2, and that's when I fought you. Bliss. Bliss is when I fought you. The 2. And I told you about the 2. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I was still a little bit, when I played you, I was a little bit indifferent about the 2. And I really didn't enjoy having him in my deck, especially since at that point, I took out defeat monsters. And I was running 4 Form Party, 4 Hot Springs, and 2 to Teamwork. That's my mission card lineup for anyone who's wondering, is 4 Form Party, 4 Hot Springs, and 2 Teamwork. Form Party, obvious. Hot Springs allows me to recover my Messiah plays since I play size 1 face.
Yes.
And then, of course, it allows me to roll plays. And then Teamwork just as a filler. But since I'm only running the 2 Teamwork, I then again, once again, Akatsuki, I only run the 2 Teamwork, what's the point? And I switched around when I tried 3 Hot Springs, 3 Teamwork, and I just found that Akatsuki wasn't worth all the effort. For Teamwork, you need to link with him once just to get the effect. I was like, okay, well, that's not too bad. Defeat monsters, you gotta link with him twice. And so you have to use a Gritted Sea link attack. And since he's only 1 critical, he takes away from the main focus of adventures, in my opinion, which is rush, to go face. So if you're running a one crit, you can't go mad face on your opponent and hope. And if you run the impact for them for game. You're only doing at max 8 damage, which is cool. But you're doing 8 damage with 2 attacks.
Other than that, I think the main when I was helping out Jake with his dungeon adventure deck and he wanted to use Akatsuki, I said what I said to him. I just said I can't stand trying to think of using Akatsuki because Akatsuki his main turnoff for me is adventures will do something downright amazing if they have shitty stats or something. So I thought, well, it's 3/1/3, it better do something amazing. The fact that it gets you another soul into a mission card, but it only works with 2 out of 4 mission cards, I wasn't too appealed. It didn't really appeal to me. I was it works for 2 of them. Either you get a fancy nice one, or you get a fancy fucking Orsa Climbs, which Orsa Climbs already did. So I didn't really I like teamwork, I like defeat monsters, I just didn't think Akatsuki was that needed. If you, I think defeat monsters was just a reward in case, your opponent's trying to wall you out from, trying to go for face, so then you can start gaining some advantage back.
Yeah, no, I agree completely. I completely wholeheartedly. It's just the stats are okay. I think the stats are alright, but I don't think the effect is worth wasting a link attack, because every link attack is a little bit precious, and you need the size 1 lineup. Eventually, I just found that, alright, I'm going to get rid of the card, drop it completely, and focus on the rush. In Akatsuki in a mixed deck, it's cool, but again, I don't think you should even run.
Oh, no. Akatsuki and mix, don't even bother. I am sorry, just don't. I learned that the hard way, just don't.
Same here. I was Akatsuki in Adventures. It's a cute idea. Maybe he'll get better in the future, but right now he's just not. The 1 crit isn't worth your game.
Maybe a Soul of Ani Lord, since there's going to be Dungeon Support, might help with more mission cards.
More mission cards! That's exactly what we need.
It's good. I think if we actually...
Watch, you're going to be a mission card that searches mission cards. It's just going to be hilarious.
Oh my god. If we ever get that, I'm maxing out everything.
If we get a search mission cards, he might be a little bit viable, but again, it's that 1 crit in a deck that needs to go face or lose.
It seems to me like Akatsuki is about as useful in the card game as he is in the actual show.
Yeah.
Nice!
Damn!
Nice! The burns!
Everyone take cover!
In my opinion, he's a lot like the Kuguru Baku cards of Dungeon, or even Parako. It's where their effects are cool. They're alright, but there's just so many better cards that you can
They're not worth giving up a link attack.
Right now, my size 1 lineup is 4 Tetsuya, 4 Zanya, 2 Shido, 3 Tsuku, and it's focused on. I've been saying this a lot, and now I'm actually going to explain it. My battery's dying. I have to switch to the computer soon. Anyways, my focus is to go Tetsuya, Tsuku in center, Zanya on the side, equip Glory Seeker, and then if I get the former party on top of Hot Springs, that just makes everything live but that makes everything. I get Zanya, I get my second push turn for another time. That makes 4 attacks. Make 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 attacks. Two big giant attacks. A 4, a 3, a 2, and a 2. It's 9 damage, so it's not as good as the usual drum and whatnot. But I do like the fact that it gains your life, and it does work quite nice. It's one of the options I can do. And I can also go with Shido on the side, and it's also another great option. But if I do Akatsuki on the side, it's like, well, okay, I can go Tsuku, Akatsuki, and it's like, okay, now it's only 7 damage, and I have to link it. I can't even link attack Glory Seeker, or I have to either waste a 4 crit, waste a Glory Seeker attack to make it a 4 crit, hopefully, and then they might get shielded. I'm just like, okay, why just waste an attack? Or I link attack with Tetsuya, and it's like, oh, another wasted attack. So it's like, Tetsuya could have linked out that Glory Seeker for damage. Not worth it. Speaking of size 1s, Zanya is the final one on our agenda, along with Messiah. Messiah and Zanya kind of go hand in hand in a way. Right now, the deck doesn't have many good size 1. Well, okay. So the best size one I think in the adventure deck is Tetsuya because it allows for damage output.
Oh yes.
Everything else is it's all right. It's okay. Like Kuguru's okay. She gains you a life. That's cool. Octoglazers, he's okay, I guess. Penetrate, whatever. Adric is all right, I guess. 1 damage, whatever. Look at your hand, Farco. All right, neat. Kiwa, all right. Get rid of her soul, whatever. Everything, but the problem is everything forces a link attack.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I want to save all my link attacks for Tetsuya for Glory Seeker for 4 crit and 3 crit. But Tsuku and Zanya, they don't make you link attack. Neither does Shido. So my entire size 1 lineup has no cards that require me to link attack. Except Tetsuya, which I'll be doing with my weapon anyways because that's super mad bonus.
Yeah, because like the thing about the size 1 adventurers, like pretty much every size 1 adventurer except for the ones that you play, is that like they're really gimmicky and really like focus on the link attack aspect that adventurers focus on to begin with, and that alone just makes them kind of like.
Like the only ones I think are worth like noting for their good link attacking is like Kiowa in some matchups. And if you feel like it, well, not feel like it, but like it's pretty good. Like I've seen it probably in most dungeon sideboards. The forget his name all the time. Like the one that came in Golden Buddy Pack, the one that link attacks.
Pope Alex. Oh, Pope Alex. Yes. Pope Alex is beef.
See, and I like all these cards. I actually really do. I like Paruko. I think Adric is okay. I think the first Tsuku is radical if he ever goes off and doesn't get
Brave Tsuku is really like a game ender, and if they stop that, well, I'm out 2 games and I'm off, so fuck me.
Kuguru is okay, but the problem is you don't. It's like those link attacks. Are they really worth it for the damage output? Not really. Sometimes. Yeah. I think in the future they might get better. I'm really kind of jelly of Legend World, who got that Hero World when your 2 heroes link attack draw.
When they draw, they got in Glauc's.
Don't worry. No. Don't worry. We'll get a mission card like that. Don't worry.
Hold off. And the second part about Masai Tsuku that makes him just absolutely glorious, along with, well, not really Zanya, but besides the 5k power that Zanya has, and he has, is gain gauge and heal. Healing is your typical RPG. He's your healer, so that's amazing. Along with Shido, those 2 are your healers, so they're going to keep you alive. And then the gauge is great because the deck kind of needs gauge. All its shields are gauge worthy, but it makes it so you can work with gauge. And actually now that adventurers have Masai Tsuku and they have Naboru, I actually find that I have too much gauge. I'm just like, okay.
This strike shall decide the fate of the world.
Yes. Such a control card. That's pretty much it monster-wise. I pretty much said my build. The size 1 lineups, very heavy. The 6 size 2 adventurers. The size 0, I don't actually play any. Except one, I play Countdown because discarding Countdown off Glory Seeker.
Countdown, honestly, Countdown is like too good to run and too good to not run in like any deck.
Yeah, I think Countdown. We'll have to go over to Omni Lords as a whole.
It's so staple, it's not even funny.
But Tenbu can help in like size 3 matchups, but like that's.
Tenbu and Raging Spirits. Don't even get me started.
Mm-hmm. I think we can actually talk about. I think that'll be something we have to talk about is the entire overview of the deck. But one last thing for the deck itself. Right now, you're forced to play the mission cards, as you know. Defensive-wise, I recommend playing the Force Shelsana, and if you want, I actually run it. Is the new Cascade, the Reduced 3. I think that card's really good in Adventures.
Catsiard.
Mm-hmm. I hate to admit it, but it's a really great card.
I hate to admit it too. Like it's you, a White Dragon clone, both one less, but it's done some work. It helps you survive things.
No, it's done a lot of work.
Honestly, Catsiard's like a double-edged sword. Yeah, you need to open center to play a fucking White Dragon Shield, but that one extra.
You're playing.
That one extra damage, Dragon Shield.
Yeah, but like that one extra damage, really does come in clutch.
Oh, one more thing I need to say before we go. For all adventures, we might go back on it. If you have any questions, I haven't actually seen anything. But the one thing I must say, all adventure players do not play, unfortunately. They still play the 3 weapons for some reason. And I'm like, guys, no. The deck is very weapon light. I've played games without the weapon, and I just lose. I just flat out lose. if you don't see the weapon, you don't see former party to get the weapon, you're in for a bad time. I recommend playing Glory Seeker as a 4 of, and then you can run like 2 more.
So much
sword for the win.
Dragon Slayer is also really good, especially in a dungeon or a dragon.
Yeah, even if it's against a dragon deck, like it's how I feel about Balmung, like in Legend World, like when people run like in the item lineup, it's like either you go it's like either it's good for like it just base stats or it's good for like its ability.
Right.
Essentially, yeah.
And to make up for running so many weapons, in my adventure deck I played 2 Oracle of Tuval. If you guys remember that card.
The Draconic Grimoire clone for Dungeon World.
I played that card over Dangerous Fuse because, one, I don't think adventures even need to touch Dangerous Fuse anymore. You used to be able to argue, you need the gauge. Yeah, okay, fair enough. Now with Masai Tsuku, you do not need Dangerous Fuse at all. It's too much of a risky card. You already minus enough as is by putting your mission cards on the board and waiting for them to trigger off. So you don't need a bet with Dangerous Fuse. It's better to go with Oracle. Be able to set your mission cards and then cast off Oracle once you have no hand. You set your mission cards and now you plus off it.
Especially if you clutch a mission card off of like you just set the lone former party to evolve into like another one. You're like yes.
And you discard with Glory Seeker or you just call stuff. I think the Oracle is kind of needed if you're playing the mission cards because it allows you to make those set plays and then get advantage off them later on, like you're going to. But now you can draw back your hand that you threw away and continue playing as normal. I recommend that card as well. You can run as a 3F as well, but the room gets really tight. The mission cards.
No, I never liked Grimoire clones outside of 2. Like it just doesn't work.
Fair enough. Yeah.
I don't play it either only because
like 1's too little, 2 is the 3 or 4 is just disgusting to me. Like 2 has always been the perfect amount.
The great thing is though is that you can make use of it just because of Glory Seeker, but it's even. But I agree.
Yeah. So is that it for adventures?
That's mainly it for pure adventures. The impact. At the impact, you generally want to run. You don't have to. It's not. I am on and off about it every so often.
Dead End Crush wins game.
I mean, point of an impact to win you the game, but yeah.
Not really. Well, nowadays we have a lot that don't even win you games.
I think Austin's like either switching over to his computer or he just like lagged out or his phone died.
Does Caliburn Glyph do damage?
No.
Does the Asmodai Rock Paper Scissors card do damage?
No, Chris, I see your point. Jesus. I'm saying most impacts you will run. Like you go against like Dragon World, but you're gonna go against like many impacts that aren't gonna fucking kill you.
Howling Storm is what I had to go up against.
It's like you have to get 6 or less life. Like
nigga killed my Glory Seeker games 2 and 3. I was like, bruh, no.
Oh, there's Austin.
Hello, everybody. I'm back.
Your phone died or something.
Okay, hello. I'm back. My phone died, as you may or may not know. Yes. Am I good? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right, cool. I'm gonna take that as my cue. Oh gosh, look, my other one was up. I'll take that as my cue to say that's pretty much it for adventures. If you have any more questions, we're gonna get to the questions at the end. We'll probably talk more about the deck later on. When mix comes around, but as of right now, I think I got most of the basics. You can focus on size 1 heavy. You can go size 2, like 10-ish size 2s and like 12 size 1s. Monster count wise, I like to keep it low because you have former party, which is kind of like a mainstay in the deck. You're forced to run it since you don't have any other good cards to replace it with. So you have the 4 mission card, former party, which casts your 4 monsters. So you're good on like 22 monsters is what I run personally. You can go 23 if you want as well. Don't go overboard like 26 or 28 that you'd run in dungeon enemies. And that's pretty much it. As for dungeon enemies, Jalen, you can take it away from here. Explain your different kinds of builds.
Well, there's only like 2, or at least you can spread apart with the 2. It's just like I don't try and go into too much detail with the deck. All right. So how, like in the beginning, like how Austin said, like the whole RPG, how he style of Dungeon World. You got like the bosses of stages and all that. These are the dungeon enemies. I'm not trying to say I did everything for this deck. People have probably done better than me with this deck, and I'm perfectly fine with that. But I'm thinking one of the first, or at least the only person who's kind of owned up to actually trying to make enemies work. Because I first saw them, I thought of them like the dual dragons to armor knights. I was like, Adventure got all this shit. As soon as I saw enemies, I'm like, I want to try and make this work. The first set 3 enemies did nothing. I can't even lie. Enemies were garbage.
Yeah,
they
yeah.
had
Okay, I'm
they
not
didn't
gonna
know
lie.
what they wanted
Like,
to be because they had cards like Grenade that went like, okay, this penetrates and keeps it alive. Huh?
What's up?
Don't spend too much time on this. You're gonna open up some trauma over here.
No, I'm
for
not trying to.
monsters.
I'm just saying, like, the first time enemies came out, I think Bushy didn't know what to do with them. It was just really like they had.
I spent $40 buying Bladelings, and I had no idea what to do with them. Yes.
it's like a 5-year-old lost in a mall without his mama.
And it was so great because like the deck when you first got info about dungeon enemies, were like, oh man, this looks really good, and it looked really good, and then Busher just didn't support it, and it's like, oh, they're not that good.
I was expecting some form of consistent gauge ramp and or draw ramp, and instead I got Dangerous Fuse.
Yeah, it's like
that's the whole problem with like early enemies. Like until we got 1 gauge demon, and then even in Miracle Impact, Alex Bane, there was no gauge excel. It was literally like Dangerous Fuse or die.
And the problem is Dangerous Fuse is not. It's a cool card. I'll give you that. It's awesome.
Your opponent like picking what you wanted. Like say you're like low on gauge. You got like no gauge when you cast this, and you're like, man, I need. Like the whole problem. I've even gone over it in the pros and cons series, but I don't even want to go back to that. Anyway, but. The whole thing, like, enemies had a problem with them. They needed gauge to defend themselves and to do plays, and there's no gauge excel at all in, like, Dungeon World at this point. So it's just like, this deck was a mess. It was a complete mess.
And, like, the Dangerous Fuse is cool, and betting it, and sometimes you get it off, and it's like, alright, you go value. But the problem is, for a consistent competitive deck, taking it to large-scale tournaments, you do not want a maybe I'll get my gauge today, or maybe I won't. Who knows?
That's how you like can describe early enemies. It was a risk taker. It was literally Dangerous Fuse or die, like I said earlier. Like it's just Dangerous Fuse was your main way of getting either cards to hand or getting. And then like the whole thing with the lineup, it was so bad. Like the size 1 lineup was you got a 1000 Reaper clone, fine, whatever. Who gives a shit? Got Mama Shiba Cobalt and Fate Skeleton. Like, Fate Skeleton's nice and all. Everyone went crazy, like, 3k defense. Like, that's just irrelevant. Mama Shiba, I hated it. I still hate it to this day. I love that Jace finally came around and got into the deck, because I wanted a size 0 that had 2 crit, but only was there for 2 crit. Because Mama Shiba, there'll be points where I'm just drawing it against decks, and I'm like, yo, 1k power, what am I going to do with this thing?
But then eventually we got the Golden Buddy fact.
Like, you know how annoying it was like when I went against Thunder Knights and I just called Mama Shiba. I'm like, oh yeah, I can't even kill Drago Archer with this shit.
Nice, can't kill Drago Archer.
I think
Why would
I
you
think
want
the
to
best
kill
card to come
Drago?
out
Why would you
set
want to
3.
kill Drago Archer?
Yeah.
Because he moved it to center and I needed to hit his face.
Oh, if that's the case, then yeah.
Dog can't kill nothing.
Because it's like.
So like, but the whole thing was like, once it got to Golden Buddy Pack, you saw some changes, you saw something, you're like, oh look, there's 1 gauge demon, there's Deo Cruiser.
Deo Cruiser, that was a great card.
Everyone immediately
so is no one gonna bring up Amigo?
Sorry, no,
we don't talk about Amigo.
Not English.
Rest in peace.
If you want to talk about Amigo, we're switching this to Japanese chat right now. Guys, I'll have to be quiet.
But like,
also
in like set 3, the size 3s and even like anything like I thought like when set 3 came out, I was like, maybe I'll make size 3 work. I'm like, nope, this doesn't work. like all your size 3s were literally Master Skeleton. Was downright terrible. I still hate him to this day.
Actually, Timmy made a really
no. Master Skeleton too good. Don't talk shit.
He was okay. He was like the worst lead lag, but was Soul Guard. I liked him a little bit, but after like doing so much with him, it was so annoying how he cost 3 gauge, and then like, I think he already did like what Demon Lord's Dungeon did, because like he'd say like without paying the call cost until Dragon Tooth came out. It was just like, so I'm basically just paying 3 gauge to do what this one set spell already did for me.
Well, Tim actually made a really good in Golden Buddy Pack era. I remember playing against his deck. He made a really actually pretty neat size 3 dungeon enemy deck. I thought was like pretty fantastic. I'm not sure if he's still alive or not.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Right.
Not much room to speak.
It's all good. You want to give?
Sorry, man.
No, not a problem. As far as size 3 dungeon enemies were concerned, I found that I like that build and the way to play it more, but the thing that made it different from other builds is that you really didn't have room for spells. Pillar of Fire does not work in that build.
It does not.
Until hitting crossbow, it was literally Shalsana or no defense. Or or Fortune Shield or Alerta, but those aren't really the best.
Yeah,
options.
Fortune Shield, Alerta, or possibly Chess Energy if you really want to troll some people. Because, it sounds awful, but
No, I've tried that too. I still switch.
I'm not paying 2 gauge for counterattack, please.
The thing that makes it good, though, is when you're playing against people who don't know how to read, they forget that it keeps counterattack for the whole turn and the power boost for the whole turn. So then they'll swing into it again with, say, a 6k attack, and then you're like, but I'm 7k defense and I have counterattack. Your guys dead. But all that aside, Chess Energy did not save the final build. What I ended up figuring out was that pretty much it was Meteor Rain or bust. Meteor Rain is the absolute best card that Dungeon Enemies had pre-Golden Buddy Pack, and I still think it's better than Day of Cruiser. And the reason why is because of all of the soul that it has in conjunction with either using Alerta at the time to force them to attack it and then you counterattack. And even though you're still going to lose your soul, they're still going to lose a card, and you're playing the grind game, getting your free cards back every turn with Demon Lord's Dungeon.
And Burning Meteor was such a useful ability. It's just
it is absolutely
2 cards
amazing.
that you're probably not going to use at the point, or even if like you have the ultimate setup, you have like say you already had a Demon Lord out and then already set like maybe 1 or 2 Demon Lord's Dungeon, just discard zeros and just blow up shit and then get them back. It was just fantastic.
It was absolutely incredible, and the main thing that made that work so well was in my particular deck, because I realized that spells were useless. I just had a bunch of other dungeon enemies in my deck. So it's just like I had my deck as 33 dungeon enemies out of my 51 card deck, counting the buddy. So I had 32 in my main deck, and I'm just like pitch, pitch, pitch. And then the best part about that was that due to how the card is worded, it's optional to discard. So I would be, say, fighting Thunder Knights, and then I'd be like, okay, I'm going to use Burning Meteor on that guy. Dragobond. Okay, I'm not going to discard. I'm going to use it on that guy.
I'm not going to discard. It's like type shit. It's just wonderful.
Yes.
One time, there was one game that I did not have 2 dungeon enemies in my hand, and I declared that I was going to use Burning Meteor. They cast Dragobond, and then I couldn't discard. They attacked, and then I Shalsona'd, and they're like, wait. No!
Bro. No, the best thing, I've done that exact play, but I did it to like Inferno Armor. Like I had like 2 random cards in hand. I knew one of them was Shalsana, but like it was only 2 cards in my hand. I go, declare Burning Meteor. He's like, Dragon Barrier. I'm like, okay. He attacks, I'm like, Shalsana. He just go like, wait, and then I penetrated him for game next turn.
Alright, okay, so if we can fast forward a bit to the current dungeon enemies after the newest extra booster. Red Arrogant.
Alright, we should take a moment. We should take a moment to talk about how amazing Day of Cruiser is then.
Okay, yeah, Dale Cruiser.
Sure, I guess so.
At first, I wasn't too into the card. Then I like got more into it because I was like, there were so many great things about it. Like, just it gets back itself. If you want to troll someone, you can get back Demon Lord's Dungeon. Now you can get back hitting crossbow. You can,
oh yes.
Ironically, I mean, if you do get it, it's quite a hefty amount of gauge if you want to do that. But reuse or get back a lost Cecilia spell disarm if you cited it in or somehow.
Demon Lord's Dungeon.
Alright.
Dungeon.
The real use of Dale Cruiser though, Dale Cruiser in this deck is actually to counter what is it? Caliburn Grief.
Yeah, because it gets back your set spell.
It gets back your set spells. It gets back.
Not just that, but when you have Dominion Rod equipped, he is so huge. He is a
Oh god,
938
8K
soul guard.
defense with soul guard. That's so scary for your opponent.
The only
I've done it
reason
so
why
many
I never,
times.
okay, the only reason why I don't main deck this guy is because he only has 3 crit and no actual keywords, which means that if I'm playing against a like-minded wall deck, and if I can't penetrate and I can't double attack, it's like having 1 attack every turn is pretty weak. So I personally don't think you should main deck him at 4 ever, unless your opponent is playing very like pop heavy removal, in which case you can use him to cycle back and burn through their removal. Usually main decking him at 2 is a good idea. But not 4.
That's about the number I do. I do 2 to 3 depending on the situation and depending on what other size 3s I'm choosing to run to kind of counteract the current meta. I always have Gagnar in at 1 just because when you do have him, that turn 1 is disgusting.
Oh no! I when I played my size 3 enemies, I played 3. The thing is a great turn 1 play, and then the whole point like with the deck, I sometimes like when he's the first one play, I just know I'm like, oh, I'm gonna get back engaged, so I'm just gonna do like ridiculous shit. Like I'll just like troll my opponent. Like first turn, I'll do things like call Gagnar, get 3 gauge, and I'll just go like call double Dragon 2, set 2 Demos dungeon. Good luck.
Yeah.
And I always like that I could just immediately play my Dominion Rod and then play Gagnar. That takes up the 3 gauge that I had. I shuffle my deck because I have to, and then I just get
I know you
gauge.
have to, no matter even if you have no gauge or not.
Yeah.
It's whatever.
And that really makes it like, and then you have 4 crit to throw right at their face. It is the absolute best turn 1 play. So I think
it makes
it will
no
always
difference
have a
to me
place.
if someone knows it or takes it. If they take it, less life. If they null it, less nulls. I don't care. It's win-win.
And then after that, he's still a 10k 4 crit 7k defense if you have Dominion Rod out. So he's
and
still.
then if you have Dragon Tooths, oh good luck. You have to kill these first, or just be stupid and attack it.
Yeah, he has so much.
Unless you have penetrate. Like the only time like it matters if you have Dragon Tooth and then they attack your 3 instead is if they have penetrate.
He has quite a bit of versatility, and then both he and Day Cruiser, in my opinion, the reason why I don't max them but I still play them is because they are meant to stall the game and hold off until I'm ready to drop my Meteor Rain or angry red Meteor Rain that's cocky when it comes time for that.
Yes, yeah. And which is why they're support level 3s or size 3s, and so it's you can't main them at 4 or have a lot of them, but you have to play with them because they're your only real support in this deck.
And like the real thing, I mean, I think like the one appealing thing to like size 3 enemies is like they're a unique size 3 deck because it's not like every other size 3 deck where they have like endless amounts of defense on themselves. Like you can go Dragon World, you just Dragon Barrier and Drago Bond a lot of shit, and then Darkness Dragon Roll, you Dark Energy just about everything, or like Bloody Dance attacks or anything. Like it's like you have to really think if you can like let this die or like and like call another size 3 from your hand, or you keep it around for longer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But like the other thing that came up through Miracle Impact is the Construct variant. Now Constructs came like at the beginning, like with Skullgo and Mazubaha, Bladewing Phoenix, and like a couple others. But like they didn't make any sense for being Constructs because there was no like card like Agosmar that just said, okay, now you actually matter. Where Agosmar is such an amazing card where it's got 5k defense shoot and whatever 1 crit and 1000 power. No one uses that.
No, I've actually used that before.
I've attacked with it when I already have, like, say, a Futoff out, and then I don't need to call anything.
Dude, it's a 2/16 with Dominion Rod. That's actually been relevant.
Oh yeah, no, I know with the Dominion Rod, like you can control people, like throw 6k defense in your center, have a Demon's Dungeon, they'll kill it, and then.
I love the fact that half the people who play this game are illiterate and can't read Dominion Rod's text.
So,
so great.
We're talking about Miracle Impact constructs. I was gonna mention before we talked about Miracle Impact, but I'm pretty sure all 3 of you guys, the 3 dungeon enemy talkers in the chat right now, all run different decks. I know Tim runs size 3 based. Jalen, you run more of a rushed size 1 and 2 smack face.
Yeah.
And last I played you, Blisters, you were playing Construct variant.
Oh, I ditched that one.
Ditched it. All right.
But I can talk about my reasons behind why I ditched Construct.
All right. Yeah. I'm actually a little bit curious. Why did you drop it? Because last time we were playing, you're like, oh, this is a.
Okay, Construct, or actually, technically my deck is still mainly Construct, but I've just taken a different focus on Construct. Basically, I want to like dispel all the ideas around Futoff being a good card. it's not that great of a card. Like, Futov has no Soul Guard or protection against popping effects. So, like, especially when Dark Hero came out, and I was playing my Dungeon Enemy deck, and they were dropping shards left and right. Like, the first thing I did after the first game I lost was side out Futov. It's like, I can't keep this card around. It's just gonna die and make me take 2 damage like every other turn. So like,
yeah, no, I agree.
With like heavy removal in the meta being very prevalent, like Futov just can't stick around long enough. If you draw him to your hand, he's a 3 gauge cost, which sometimes like hurts. You have to revive him with Eagle Smart, which is another lifelink card. And so like when they just clear your field, you just take more damage, and you can't afford to take more damage in this deck that can't heal.
I mean, there are certain I get the whole thing of how he is removable, unlike he's like the Demon Good Arc with no Soul Guard and not as much benefit, because Dungeon World doesn't have the cards that like keep him around, like Demon Slay Barrier, or if you do a Dragon World, like you have Drago Bond and Dragon Barrier to keep him around. Like,
yes.
Those cards would be helpful, but they're not there, so you just gotta like deal with that. But the whole thing is like, and then even worse if you go against Darkness Dragon World, Death Grip, or even Graveyard, the worst case scenario fucks you over.
Yeah, exactly. So Futov is I can't play Futov at a high number. I have him at 1 in my main deck, and I side him out immediately anytime I'm going against heavy removal. On the other hand,
I think the worlds he shines against are like Dragon and Dungeon, because Dungeon doesn't have any removal against it. Dragon doesn't. If it's not size 3 base, or at least you don't see any large amount of Tenbu, well, you're gonna probably see Tenbu. Like, you would notice that.
I think that it's. I was gonna say, I think that it's pretty wise at this point in time with the type of meta that we have, especially with heroes, for Hero World being so prevalent, for Dragon World to be running at least 1 to 2 main board Draconic air raids. I think that it's just a wise choice at this point.
Yeah. But on the other hand, though, for good constructs, the size 3 of the Flood is a super good card. Okay, so the fact that it gets 9/3, which is the crit, 9003 with Penetrate is really, really strong.
And then it also nullifies Penetrate.
It nullifies Penetrate. Kaiser Ryan can't touch this.
Oh yeah, fucking
Yeah, no, actually, I was in my Dungeon Enemy deck, and even mixed. I was thinking like that card. I'm like, I really want to play it. It's just, it seems so good. 2 gauge, has 7k defense with Soul Guard, 3 critical, Penetrate, and nullifies other Penetrate. Like, what?
Okay. So this is the beauty of Flood.
And it has a small amount of lifeline for it.
Wait. This is the beauty of Flood. When you call him from your hand, you pay 2 gauge, and you get a soul, right? So that's an even wash mechanic. You know, 2 gauge for 1 card is like fair. But if you play Agos Mar and you rest Agos Mar and you call Flood to your center, you don't pay the gauge, but you don't get that extra soul, which means you're actually not losing out on anything. So in like pinch situations, you can rest Agos Mar, call out Flood, get that size 3 tank for no cost, still get the Penetrate Nullifier. So against Kaiser Ryan, this is just like a repeatable, like, well you probably have Dominion Rod or something like that. So it's like, let's say like 10-3-8, that your Kaiser Ryan has to keep attacking, and you're not taking any extra damage from the Penetrate. And so it's something that just like really helps you like match par with decks that try to get advantage on you through Penetrate. It's like, it's actually like really, really good.
Yes.
Yeah. Like, no, I agree. I kind of like the idea of it. And there's a lot of other size 3 dungeon enemies that came out of the set that have just been really solid.
Like Lilag Monarch, like people don't give that card enough credit. Like, it is pretty damn good. It's pretty much like, I would think, a lesser version of the Diamond Golem Flood. I mean, it doesn't nullify Penetrate, but I mean, like, in terms of usefulness, instead of getting Soul, you get 2 freaking size 0s for free.
Wait, it's not good. Wait, what? It's not good. It's like, in order to make this card good, you have to run 4 Dragon Tooth Warrior. That's
I played in a size 3 deck. I did play 4 Dragon Tooth, and then...
Why would you play Dragon Tooth Warrior? Okay, Dragon Tooth Warrior sucks.
Tim actually really likes that card.
Oh man, I hate this card with the freaking vengeance.
It depends on how you use it and what you're using it for.
Bad as most people want. Like, yeah, he's a gauge, and he's like a lesser Ricky, and he has like less...
Okay, wait, does like every dungeon like enemy player have like that 1-0 they fucking hate?
Yeah, I think so. Mine's Dragon Tooth Warrior.
I mean, Blaze has 2s. Fucking Jalen has Mama Shiva.
Tim, what's yours? Let's hear it.
The size 0 that I hate in dungeon?
Fate Skeleton because Evil Dre is coming out?
Honestly, I love Fate Skeleton because stats, but Fate Skeleton is mostly obsolete, especially once we get that new size 0 Thundermine.
Yes.
Yeah, of course. But wait, Dragon Tooth sucks though.
I mean, I like it.
It's a classless soul guard that is easier to clear than the main body, and if your opponent's running any kind of like mass field removal, Dragon Tooth Warrior just like drains you resources.
But we also don't have any other means of creating floating effects to give us soul guards. Like we don't have dark energy. We don't have
which is why size 3 dungeon enemies, generally speaking, sucks.
I mean, I don't really have issues when I play it.
Which is why I dropped that deck. This has been a part of the thought process of
Tim, this is your baby. I want to hear it. I want to hear it.
So fight me on this.
Oh, this is mine.
I really want to talk about this.
So size 3 dungeon enemies definitely has some matchups where it's bad at, but we're in a rock paper scissors meta anyway.
Yes.
So as far as the matchups that it does poorly against, it kind of has a big weakness to anything that can nullify its effects straight out, especially stars in particular. Because I mean, if you just swing a Strios, if you just swing a Strios into my Meteor Rain when I have 2 soul, and you have Frozen Fade out, and I'm just like, no. I mean, on one hand, I don't take all the lifelink damage. On the other hand, I'm screwed for the rest of the game. But I find that it actually does very well in a lot of other matchups. The grind game and decks that don't have superfluous amounts of card advantage actually works out pretty well. I think it could take out Dark Heroes very efficiently. It could take out most Katana World builds. It can take out most Legend World builds other than Stars and possibly Caliburn.
Depending on the 3 you have out, you could actually do pretty well against superheroes. Like mostly like if they're just always trying to go for like Rescue Drum or emergency launch. If you have like Meteor Rain or Red Arrogant, just top the shit before it. All
right, Tim. I actually have a few ideas regarding size 3 dungeon enemies. I haven't tested this yet per se, but I'm just gonna bounce these ideas off of you. Okay.
Okay.
So first of all, replacing Meteor Rain with Red Arrogant, just because double attack I think can be more relevant at some times. Calling Red Arrogant to the side and not to the center. Equipping either Alchbane or Dominion Rod, either way, either one is fine. And running Phoenix Radiation. What do you think?
I think all of that works, and actually one of the strategies that I've been working on lately for pushing for game is to have Red Arrogant out. Specifically, it has to be Red Arrogant, and you have a creature in your center, right? Well, what you can do is, if you're really trying to push for game and you know you have it, you can actually use Red Arrogant skill on your creature in your center to kill it, and then swing with your weapon.
Yes.
And that's one of the things that I've been wanting to do with Meteor Rain, but Meteor Rain specifies opposing creature.
Yeah,
so that's one of the reasons why. That's one of the reasons why I really like Red Arrogant.
I think Red Arrogant's also good. I mean, I don't like calling Red Arrogant to center because 1 soul is not enough to tank enough, but 1 soul is good enough on the side to make sure that it sticks around and becomes an annoying thing for your opponent. You can still use his counter ability when they're attacking you directly, just discarding 2 dungeon minis and like destroying whatever is attacking. So like you still get like most of the good negate effects without actually having the monster in your center. You're open to using Pillar of Fire, the Cassiard.
Cassiard.
Yeah, that card, yeah. So that means when Red Arrogant dies, you can actually cast this spell to negate its lifelink, which is pretty good.
And I think that putting creatures on the side, the size 3s on the side, is actually viable now, especially if you're reviving walls to your center every turn. Mm-hmm. There are benefits and things that don't make it work as well, but all in all, right now I think that the deck is so flexible that it can do either from the get up, from the basic deck setup. So depending on what your situation calls for, if you really don't want to lose Meteor Rain under any circumstance, you can call that to the side. And the problem that the deck has always had the most of is gauge management. So the reason why I wouldn't want to put Pillar of Fire in the deck anyways, because it's hard to call 2 size 3s in a single game. And that eats up all of your gauge when you do it. So putting it on the side would help fix that, and you could technically run things like that in your sideboard to help compensate for that. I also do like the idea of negating lifelink with Cassiard. I was thinking about that myself, and I wanted to actually try building a variant of this. I actually had the same thought a few days ago.
Yeah, that's actually exactly what I was thinking about this 2 days ago, and I'm like, oh hey, you can like run Alchbane with this and actually like.
Maybe we had that conversation. I think we may have.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Hey Jalen, I want to hear something about that size 1/2 dungeon variant you were talking about.
Okay.
He's playing the rush.
Oh, you mean the one that always gives them shitty luck?
Hey! It's not always shitty.
No. I'm not saying your deck is shitty. I'm not saying your deck is shitty. It's that every time I've seen you play it, it seems just to give you shitty luck.
Oh yeah, like I'll like 2 vol and I'll draw 3 weapons and I'll just be like, okay.
But yeah, hey, talk to me about it because it sounds like something I'm building or like the variant I have right now.
It's similar to like what you guys just said, like Red Arrogant, Alex Bane, and Phoenix Radiation kind of combo. It's just literally to manage space. I just didn't run any threes. I just didn't choose to. Also, it's just my deck, but like my spell lineup is so weird because I'm just trying to fit in shit. I mean, I mainly did it because I mainly like didn't run like forward hidden crossbow in it because like I didn't have a 4th. I had like 3, and I was like so annoyed. But now I have a 4th, so I'm like I'm probably just gonna take out Pillar of Fire. Probably put those inside or whatever. I don't know. Because like the whole deck is like centered around. It's like other adventure, but it does this like more annoyingly to your opponent. Okay, the whole strategy is you have Agos Mart, bring back constructs. You go for face like 90% of the time. Agos Mart sits in center. Sometimes some decks will have problems. Some decks won't. I don't care. It's literally go for face. They're gonna try and get your life low. That's kind of the point. Then I'll Phoenix Radiation. And even if that doesn't win me the game, I'm just destroying an entire board. And I have so many gauge getting cards. Like I run randomly 2 dangerous fuse. It's only for the sake of either when I draw it, I can either get hand or gauge. And either one's useful because I can spend it.
And that's a key point to bring up. I was gonna say it's just that. Dangerous Fuse, it's like you either get a free nice one or you get 2 gauge. And 9 times out of 10, I wish it was the gauge and I get the nice one. But I mean, I can't complain about free cards. Like you cycle out a card that does nothing and then you get 2 free more. I mean, it's always good for dungeon enemies. Whereas for adventurers, you don't really need the gauge. So that's why people have stopped running it in adventurers.
Like the whole thing is like Alex Bane. I love the damn card Death in dungeon enemies because it's the perfect card. It gave them exactly what they needed. It's 1k less Hyperion. One less gauge. It's so great. It sets up the Phoenix Radiation play, which is so easy. And then like I even think like it works well if like you either main or side like Red Arrogant because it's a dungeon enemy itself, so you can discard it for Red Arrogant if you can't use it.
Wait, what is Phoenix Radiation, right? Yeah,
Phoenix Radiation. Yeah, it's adventure and dungeon enemy. That's why I'm saying like it's so. But like the whole thing is like the whole size 2 lineup is like I run 3 foods off. I don't really like it. That was like the first thing that just like I didn't want to run Jade Golem because I hate the damn thing. I didn't want to put it Mazubaha, nor did I actually can't find any more extra copies of the damn thing. Ironically. And Bladewing, you can only play 4, so sad face.
I would play if I could.
8 Bladewing, 8 Tetsuya deck. Let's go. Son.
No, I'm just joking.
Wait,
but like,
Jalen, you're playing 5. Isn't Bladewing your buddy?
I mean, yeah, SP Buddy. Yeah, it's totally 5 copies. If I had a My Buddy, then it'd be 5 copies. Like the whole thing of the deck is literally like it can get defensive when it needs to. I mean, there's no card that just like straight up changes my thing to defensive, like throw a size 3 in. It's literally just I have main field is Bladewing, any size 1 which is all 2 crit. I ran Evil Break at first. I just said fuck this thing. I hate it so much. Like if there's any card I hate more than like anything in this game, and it's not even based on facing it, I hate Evil Break because it's the shittiest thing they ever gave dungeon enemies.
I hate it. Really like Evil Break.
I like Evil Break a lot.
I like Evil Break.
No, Jalen, Evil Break's too good.
Evil Break's actually really good.
I like its ability. I hate its stats and the fact that it costs me an extra gauge. The only time I found it useful was when I search Alex Bane and I get at least 1 gauge back. But then I'm just like, I'm wasting a gauge to get this shitty thing in my field. Like, and then the average player, or at least the right player, would never kill it. So I just wasted my time by getting rid of it off my field.
That's why you call it the center. But the reason
and
why
that's what I hate about it. It's 1 crit. If it was 2/2/2 cost me a gauge, I wouldn't care. It's 2/1/2 shitty. So shitty stats cost me a gauge. It does get me a staff, which is the most useful thing. But I hate it because it's literally just death fodder on from their point out. And
yeah, but at the same time, if you combine it with Demon Lord's Dungeon, like say you do not have a size 3, and this was one of my biggest problems back when Set 3 happened. I only had 4 Meteor Rains, I had 4 Big Awesome Dogs, and then I had my 1 Gagnar. And that was my size 3 lineup. Some games I did not open with 1 because I just didn't. So I would open with other cards like Evil Break and Demon Lord's Dungeon. I would charge and draw, play Evil Break, and then I would play Dominion Rod, equip Dominion Rod, set Demon Lord's Dungeon. They would destroy it in order to get to me, and then every turn I would bring it back, which would give me another weapon out of my deck, which would thin my deck.
So then you can just deck thin your deck and then use it as
Evil
charge
Break's
card.
best thing in this deck. It's so I dropped the weapon now, so I don't have to freaking draw it later.
The first time I played enemies, I did that. I still hated it because it would cost me so much gauge, and then that was set 3, so like practically with that kind of play, I was wasting 3 gauge already, and then I had the charge and draw. And if I didn't get dangerous fuse, then I'm just not and get the gauge. I was just practically going to be low on defending myself, because then if I call any size 2 out, practically Blade Wing or 1-aid, then I have like no form of defense.
Oh, my deck at the time,
that was my whole problem against. That was like my whole problem with him.
My particular deck at the time was focusing on Big Awesome Dog as the backup size 3. So I was running the Doberman Cobalts, which are nice vanilla 3 crits that had some pretty good substance, and if they wanted to just leave that on the field until I drew my size 3 and kept killing my evil breaks that I would keep spamming so I could get more cards, I was fine with that.
It's a fine strategy, you know. I remember you for making Evil Break work. I just don't want to make him work. I don't want to use him anymore. I don't feel the need to use him anymore.
Definitely now it's not as useful as it used to be. I still run it just in case I don't open with a weapon, but I've also dropped Alerta so that I don't have as many weapon targets. But the thing about Evil Break is that he was a backup plan when the deck when the deck had a ton of space. But now the deck has significantly less space because we have way more 0s and way more 3s.
Yes.
But it was
the whole lineup is like my whole lineup in my construct deck is like Agosmar, Jace, 2 Iron Golem Nasir. I just play 2 of it because like it's just literally, if I don't get my better constructs, like if you don't get any better constructs other than like Blade Wing, or if you feel like it Futov, or I play Mazubaha because 625 vanilla decent enough. Like, if you don't get any of those good targets, you just get Nasir or Jace back and just go for 2 crit. But anyway, like then 1 gauge demon and Doc Cobalt, all these generic size ones with 2 crit and do something maybe.
Okay.
The size 2s, like I said, it's experimental. I don't want to run it anymore, but like there was like 3 Futov. I want to find like a better construct, or at least another better 2. I might put in 1-8 again, but I'm really iffy on 1-8. I don't hate him. I don't like him though, because he gets baited sometimes. Like I hate like when someone like I go against Darkness Dragon World or maybe a couple other not really any other matchup really, but like just go against some decks. They just go like enter attack, want to destroy 1-8, and then if they destroy him, I'm gonna take 2 life. So I kind of feel like I should maybe sometimes save him. If I save him, it's just more risk. I don't like that at all. And then I would say Grenwald, but I hate Grenwald. Well, okay, I don't hate Grenwald. I hate that he came like so late. Like when Dunjamies first came out, I saw when Grenwald was a promo in Japan, we didn't have him. I'm like, oh man, this works in the deck because it's like 1 crit less drum. I like it. And then not useful anymore because way too late and not too useful anymore.
Yeah, of course.
So the size 2 lineup and enemies is like so lacking. So I'm just like Futov probably just gonna throw it to 1, add some 3 like Diamond Flood. Most likely should just do that because I don't play any at the point, but I'm just probably gonna do it.
Alright.
Then the spell lineup, like I said, it was experimental. It did okay. It was like 4 Shasana, obviously. 2 Pillar Fire and 2 Crossbow. It was like so weird because, like I said, I didn't have 4 Crossbow. I felt like some matches I would need Pillar Fire, so I just put 2 in, and like Pillar Fire did do useful work. The 1 gauge didn't come like at any point detrimental to like certain plays or anything in the deck. So because 1 gauge demon plus Alex Bane just ruins your opponent's chance of wanting to nullify all your attacks because they can't nullify everything, and just you gaining gauge just scares them. The other spell is 2 Quiescents. I don't want to run 3. I feel like Shalsana already did his job, and also it's still a good card. I mean, like regardless, like it at New York Regional, it saved me against 100 Demon because like tried to do impact and I just Quiescents it. Then like I said, 2 Dangerous Fuse, and then there's 2 Tavals. Like Grimoire Clone works so well on enemies because they don't generate advantage as much as adventurers or mix, so it's just like when you're getting to that last ditch effort, you just fucking drop your hand and then go for this. And since you have to be a 5 or less life to use it, there could be points where you can draw on the Phoenix Radiation. Since you have to be 5 or less life to use that, then you just wreck your opponent. And Phoenix and the items is just 2 Dominion Rod and also I have 2 Demon Rod's Dungeon. I almost forgot about that. Like Agosmar and Demon Rod's and Dominion Rod are like my only Demon Lord targets, so I only feel the need for 1 to 2. If someone destroys that shit, I really don't care. Like it's the games I have it, it's good. The games I don't have it, I'm doing fine. I don't really find the need to run more. It definitely would clog if I think I had more. Like when it comes out and I have that like annoying setup that some people just stupidly don't get around somehow. Like where I have Bladewing, Agosmar, and then they kill Bladewing and Agosmar because like, oh, I can't leave the Bladewing on field. Oh, but Agosmar gets it back. I guess I kill both, and then Demon's Dungeon just brings back the Agosmar, so you just wasted your time. Unless you wanted to feel like you accomplished something by making me take lifelink 1.
Sure.
And Alex Bane, like I said, 4 of best weapon in the deck. 2 Dominion Rod. And Impact is, of course, Phoenix Radiation. Loves the card to death. It's so great because when I know I have it, or at least enough gauge to when I can set it up with 3 gauge and I'm at that life, I just know no matter what my opponent does, I'm gonna just fuck them over because like if they're like size 3 heavy and I at least get rid of like all their soul, I just know when I drop this, they're gonna either take lifelink and take the damage, or I just get rid of it and then they're probably gonna have less cards and they're gonna be over by the next turn, or
what
kill
about
them.
the Strike Shell decide the fate of the world?
I'm not gonna play that ever.
Jalen, I keep telling you, man, run the 1 of. You'll thank me.
No, I won't. Anyway, Phoenix Radiation is like that iffy impact everyone has thoughts about. Like it's an impact. You have to be a 5 or less life. You pay 3 gauge. If you have an enemy, a dungeon enemy, and an adventurer weapon, you immediately just drop it, destroy all monsters, no matter the size, and deal 3 damage. It's pretty much similar to like every other like the great spell Leviathan, but like it's so bad compared to it because there's no life restriction, but that costs you 2 life and the same amount of gauge.
Yeah, I kind of like that card in mix too.
It works in mix probably just as well, but I think enemies it works just better because you could have potentially 2 enemies, so if they even destroy 1 and they expect it, they can't destroy 2, so like most likely.
It's a lot more consistent that way. No, I agree. And you have 1 gauge.
Like Phoenix Radiation, the thing I do with it if I have it, or even if I expect to like somehow get it, like 2 vol, and I'll probably draw into it if I'm like, I don't know. Like just having it just lets me know all I have to do is start hitting my opponent's face, and I don't have to worry about their monsters. Like say Thunder Knights, or like any or like the Crimson Bower, whatever you want to say, like anything, even center-based things. I'll just go hit for face, hit for face, hit for face. Most people don't like the card or don't expect people to play it or don't even like think like it's good or whatever the thought process. It's just literally you drop it, you deal damage, you either kill them or you wipe their board and they're low on advantage and you dealt damage and they're low on life. So against certain matchups that could fuck them over because they can't use certain things.
I have a question. I was wondering, what do you, since I guess you and maybe Bliss too, what do you guys think of the size 1 dungeon enemy cards that want to be in the center? Like, what do you think about that?
I think this segues perfectly into the way I'm going to carry this discussion, or the way I wanted to carry this discussion. So do you mind if I kind of take over a bit here?
Yeah, no, I don't mind. Go ahead.
Okay, cool. So let's wind the clock back 1 year and 1 month ago to AX 2014. This was before BTO3 was released, but they were giving early pre-sales at AX. I bought an overpriced box. I tried to pull as much dungeons as I could. Traded around for Blade Wings, Evil Breaks, Meter Rains. Made the deck as specified by 10's instructions, and I just saw it just like crap out nothing. It's a terrible deck. Didn't work. We've already shot that thing to the debt. Even after Miracle Impact, I still don't think it works. I think the only good thing that they got in Miracle Impact was Smile Charm, because that was your only guaranteed gauge ramp in this entire set.
That wasn't even in Miracle Impact. That was a promo.
Well, yeah, but it came out around that time.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. So Miracle Impact came out. We got Phoenix Radiation, Alex Bane, this cool stuff, constructs, and I switched the deck over. I switched the deck over to that Alex Bane variant, Phoenix Radiation, very similar to the build you had, Jalen. But the problem with that deck was that I still just died too early. Having an open center really hurts because you just take too much damage. Your deck isn't nearly enough aggro, as you make it sound. People can tank you too easily. And so I'm like, okay, how do I make this deck better? And the only way to make the deck better is to go to mixed. Because the more adventurers you add into this deck with Alxbane, the better the deck gets. Because Alxbane's an adventurer. You can search it with Form of Party, you can grab it with any adventurer grabbing card. Adventurers have better stats, they do better things on the field. And like you can like run like continue or Sir Clients to get more cards. So the better the deck was going to be, it was just going to mix, and I didn't want to do that. So it was really hard to get a good Dungeon Enemy build. Until the trial deck for Malicious Demons. The 100 Demon trial deck came out, and they printed Living Mad Gazer, which is a 3/1/4, so 3001, 4000. If it's in the center, it gains a crit and 2000 defense.
Which then becomes a 4/2/7 revivable, spammable, free, costless wall.
4/2/6.
With the Minion Rod. And the moment I realized that Demon Lord Dungeon was just a draw one card every turn, and that one card happens to be a 4000 to 7000 defense spammable wall that can't be Pillar of Fired and that nobody can just get over naturally, and you draw it every single turn, the deck suddenly started working. Because it doesn't even matter if they pop it. If they pop it with some size 1 like Draconic Thunder, you still have your Dominion Rod to attack. So you always guarantee 3 attacks, no matter what. Not only that, you can call Living Mad Gazer to center, Agos Mar to the left, or actually any size 0, Phoenix to the right. You can get 4 attacks. And this happens every single turn because of Demon Lord's Dungeon.
And if you happen to not draw Dominion Rod, Agos is still a Demon Lord, so you can still play Demon Lord's Dungeon if you're missing one of the other pieces.
Exactly. I run 2 Evil Breaks to grab Dominion Rods, and so I have basically 6 copies of it. Agos Mar is a demon. I run Duke Razor if I miss it. There's just so many different outs to this deck. I still run size 3s, of course. Like my main deck is Flood, but I have Duke Razor in the side deck because it's nice to have something you can stall on. But being able to revive Living Mad Gazer every single turn has won me just so many different games. There was this one game I was playing against a Shinsengumi deck, okay? I opened Perfect Hand, Dominion Rod, 2 Demon Lord Dungeons. This Shinsengumi player, Draconic Cavalry Legions 4 freaking times. The Impact, which is pay 2 gauge, drop this impact, draw 3 cards. He does it 4 times in that game. I outhand him.
Oh, wow.
Well, you draw 2 cards every single turn for free.
Yes. He draws 2 cards every single turn by paying 2 gauge and using an impact. I outhand him at the very end. He says, I have never seen a deck as ridiculous as that. You opened perfectly and I lost. Even with playing everything perfectly. I'm like, that's what this deck does. And so I think I've gotten Dungeon Enemies to a good place. I think this is where it's strongest. I don't run any Dangerous Fuse because I don't need to. I don't need to draw cards. I don't need gauge. This deck just revives everything. The only weakness is anything that can destroy set spells, in which case I run Duke Razor as a side, right? They destroy the set spells, you get the set spells back. It's pretty easy.
Well, there is the other weakness of counter destruction, and while your creatures do come back at the start of your turn, you don't have the offensive output of a deck that can have some way to mitigate the counter destruction. So
yes,
your deck can be slowed down to a crawl.
It slows down, but not as much as they slow down too. Because if they counter destroy one of your sides, that's fine. They're not destroying your center. Your center is still 4/2/7. They can't do anything about that. If they destroy your center, you still get an extra attack, so you haven't lost any damage really, because it's just 2 crit either way.
Right.
Yeah. It's actually like. It's actually, you think you slow down, but they've slowed down so much more than you have through this whole process.
Well, depending on the deck, that could end up hurting worse, especially if it's a deck that has, well, we'll just say Legend World. Legend World.
Okay, Legend World is the worst matchup because of Caliburn, yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, actually, I've never thought of that, but that is actually a really good idea. A revivable 7K wall. It's a lot like Water Ninjas.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, the Water Ninjas have a Drago Energy clone, which makes them a whole lot better. They also have a bunch of cards that say, if your center is being link attacked, do X.
Oh, send.
Yeah, but well, yes. So yeah, technically Water Ninjas do slightly better, but I believe I still think that what do you call it? That Dungeon Enemies has like
They have a better size 3 utility and revivability.
Yes, and you have a lot better
offensive attackers.
You have a
they have
nice
counter destruction. That's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Rest of the world does not.
Yeah, and so like
and you have life gain.
The fact that your 7K comes on a body and you don't need an additional set spell to get that 7K means your ideal winning board comes into play much faster too.
Yeah, less pieces, more flex.
Less pieces to the moving puzzle. Yeah. Also in the deck, I run 4 crossbow, 4 pillar of fire. You know, like crossbow is great, pillar of fire is great. Why not just run both? If they kill the center, I can use pillar of fire now. It's like it's like really simple to like.
Okay.
It's to execute.
If I was running the deck, I'd probably run a little bit less pillar of fire, but yeah, I can understand it. Like just in case okay, they're probably gonna remove it, and you're not gonna have it all the time. So.
Yeah, exactly, right. And there's nothing else to run at that point. And the best part, this is the best part. Side deck 4 Demon Lord Destruction, the destruction thing, dungeon destruction,
Dungeon
explosion. Yes.
Oh wow.
Because your Dominion Rod is a dungeon enemy. Demon Lord. You can cast that as an anti-aggro card. And hit you down to like certain life levels, and destroy their entire field, and then still go on the offensive afterwards.
Okay.
I had it like as a 1-of in my size 3 deck. Like it was just like Dale Cruiser can grab it, and then like it was just like if I drew it, like the perfect thing was like opening Gagnar in this first turn. It was like, oh, don't need to start and draw. Drop Gagnar, get 3 gauge, and then when they attack, and just go like bop your field.
Yeah. It feels very similar to that because you don't use gauge on anything.
Yeah, because I can see what you're talking about. You set the set spells, and you revive either your size 1 center, just keep spamming that, or you have Agos. What's his name? Algos?
Yeah, Agos Mar.
Agos Mar. AM. You have AM.
Yeah.
You use him to bring back Blade, so it's like a constant. Okay, if you remove the side lanes and you don't want to attack the center, I'll just keep paying 1 life every turn and revive for free.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay,
yeah, it's pay 1 life, get a double attacker. Oh, okay. Suddenly, like, good cards.
That's nice.
Yeah, it's very consistent. I've had good results with it. Yeah.
Do you run Red Arrogant in the main deck?
I don't. I run Flood in the main deck just because I want to have an answer to penetrate, and I don't really have a lot of hand when I don't have enough hand to keep Red Arrogant alive long enough.
I see.
And I think Flood is better because you always have Dominion Rod, right? So Flood becomes a 10-3-8 or something like that. Yeah, that's pretty stupid.
If I may, I actually really enjoy Red Arrogant, even in a side deck of Adventurers, just as a side deck in general. I think he does really good in the Raging Spirit matchup, and even to become a matchup, because he's a 10k, so he gets over to plus 5k from Raging Spirits. And then he allows you to smack Raging Spirits, and if they ever do a counter,
right,
you can just pitch 2 and destroy the Raging Spirit outright. And
interesting. Yeah,
I really enjoyed that.
You probably could replace Flood with Red Arrogant and achieve very similar results.
Mm-hmm. The main reason why my deck runs 4 copies of Meteor Rain and 4 copies of Red Arrogant is because of that counter discard effect. Mm-hmm. The fact that at any point in time you can choose any creature on their field and use a counter destruction ability on it in response to any effect or ability that they do makes it incredibly powerful in terms of control.
Mm-hmm. Counter destruction is really good, and I've always wanted to make it work more consistently. It works consistently, but I wanted to make it more consistent. But the problem is you just don't have the hand for it. I'm really hoping that Dungeon Enemy gets some kind of like really good hand gen in the future, where these cards become even more viable. But right now, it's sometimes risky. Sometimes you have to like hold them before committing to them, so that you can at least use it once, which I don't find comforting.
Well,
I mean, I know it's not comforting, but I've gotten used to that kind of play style of enemies. Like, it's just like you have to play complacent. You'd have to not like rush into things. Like, just don't. Like, you have to think far ahead before like you do almost every single play.
And what I've seen a lot is that people will panic and drop their size 3s immediately once they see Meteor Rain hit the field. So let's say that turn 1, I go first. I drop Dominion Rod and Meteor Rain, and then I set a Demon Lord's Dungeon. If they decide to put a size 3 on the field, I can discard a size 0 and destroy their creature that they bring out, of course discarding another dungeon enemy. And then the following turn, Demon Lord's Dungeon will just bring it right back.
Yeah, which is really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's about as good as it gets right there.
So there are situations in which you can mitigate the loss, and Demon Lord's Dungeon is the big advantage engine that the deck has. Mm-hmm. So by discarding cards and then bringing them back for free, that's how you kind of get around the whole hand cost thing. and it's perfectly okay to just keep extra cards in your hand. I mean, there are times when I'll charge spells and then keep the dungeon enemies in my hand, even though I have no intentions of ever playing them to the field, just so I can discard them for Burning Meteor.
That sounds actually really good. I might try playing around with some extra red arrogance. Maybe switching them in for the Pillar Fires or the Floods, and just see how it works. I mean, there's a lot of flexibility with the way I have the deck set up right now. So.
And
like my whole thing with Dale Cruiser, like the whole thing, like I lost like interest before it was like before Hidden Crossbow and shit like that came out. Like I didn't like that the only targets it had was like Cecilia's Spell Disarm and Dungeon Explosion. I was so mad Pillar Fire wasn't. I mean, it wouldn't work with it, but I was so mad Pillar Fire didn't work. I was like, why is the firepower?
Yeah.
I mean, it had other targets too. Like it had Dominion Rod, which even if you
dungeon.
I'm talking about Alternative Destruction. I know it had a ton of Demon Lord targets. Gagnar, Demon Lord's Dungeon, and
Recycle
Dominion
himself.
Rod.
yeah, there's so many targets
Oh God,
that had.
if you loop Gale Cruisers with a Dominion Rod equipped, your opponent just wants to scoop.
Yeah.
And like, it doesn't even matter that it doesn't have penetrate or any other useful keywords. It's just a big thing that they have to get around while you wait until you draw
I know,
one
it's
of
like,
your other better
it's like
size
kind of
threes.
the same thing people feel about the other Yamigeto, like the Great Fiend one, the one that 835, and then and then like all the Thunder Mine, like you put 100 demons into its hand, and then into its soul from your hand, and then it gets all Thunder Mine and everything in its soul. Like people like discredit that because they're like, oh, it doesn't have any other keywords like the other ones, like penetrate and double attack, and they don't think the Thunder Mine is as good, or losing the hand is just as worth. But it's just like once this thing's set up with Thunder Mines, your opponent will be fucking afraid. Like get the spell one, regular Yamigeto, and like even the other Yamigeto, the one that like whenever they call it any size, and then like
Not
take
even,
advantage.
not even. Get the Dark Heroes Spell Hate, normal Yami, and the Dragon Hate one. They drop any Dragon Shield, they're taking 3.
Anyway, enemies has like this huge problem of it's trying to be a defensive deck. It's not. It doesn't have the enough defensive cards to make it work, or even any defensive cards to make it work. They can't do aggro well because already Adventure does it better, and even other decks do it better.
Yeah, so you just do both. Easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like that's the best thing about dungeon enemies is that you don't do one particularly well, and so you just try to do your best at both.
Why not both?
You have Blade Wing Phoenix for good aggro. It's not a great aggro card, but it's pretty good. And then you have a bunch of size 3 tanks that can defend pretty well, and it's not the best at defending. It's not like Force Arms or anything, but it works, and you just go from there.
And I mean, it counters Force Arms completely.
Oh yes, that is so true.
That's another reason why I really, really like it. It's like, I'm going to call Jackknife. Okay, now I'm going to get this card into my soul. Dead.
Yeah.
I'm going to call Force Arms. I'm going to get this card into my soul. Dead.
Yeah.
No.
See, but having Flood means that he can call Force Arms, and I can just penetrate the Force Arms. You can have your Force Arms. I'll just penetrate it.
Dragon Season.
Easy.
Duck Season.
Dragon Season.
Duck Season.
Dragon Season.
Dragon Season.
Duck Season. Fire. Dead.
But there's no ducks in this game.
All of the ducks play Legend World.
Exactly.
Yes, there we go. All the ducks play Legend World.
All the quacks play Legend World.
Yeah.
Damn. Shots fired.
I think we covered
Even I play
most
Legend World.
things about dungeon enemies. Is there anything else you guys want to say? Last tidbits?
Oh, we haven't gone over the viability in this format.
Oh, wait. We're going to do that after we cover all the decks.
Yeah. We're gonna do that.
Wait, that's after all the
okay, yeah.
Golden
Actually, one more thing about dungeon enemies. I said I don't want to run Dangerous Fuse. I actually don't think Dangerous Fuse belongs in any dungeon enemy deck right now. I personally think size 3 variants do better with Spell Charm because it's more guaranteed gauge. So for draw, I've actually been playing around with Fortune Select. It's that one really bad impact where we have to be at
the impact. It's like you luckily could draw cards.
Draw 2 cards, and that's actually won me some games. And the second thing where you can counter and put a card from your drop zone on top of your deck, like sometimes like you can do that and you just put that Oracle of Tuval back on top of your deck. Next turn, draw Draconic Grimoire, and you have 3 more cards. So I don't know. I've seen some use for it. It's nice and it's nice in some dungeon enemy decks.
I would like it if it didn't cost 2 gauge, and that's the big thing.
Yeah, that
was my turn off.
I would like it.
Use it.
In my particular variant, I can't run it, and the reason why
you can't run it. I was able to run it because I don't use gauge, and so I was like, oh hey look, this 2 gauge was like nothing for me. But yeah, for size 3 you probably can't use it.
The thing is, you have to be at 4 life or less, and that's really close to impact range. And like,
even though what do you mean close to impact range? That is impact range.
Yeah, well,
the close part's your opponent not having it.
I mean, I think he's saying like in terms of Dungeon World, Dead End Crush won't be there.
Right.
But
in terms of dungeon enemies being the fact that if you don't have enough cards in your hand, you lose anyways.
It's just like, why not? Let's
It
risk it for
doesn't even matter at this point. Just let me draw more cards.
I mean, almost for that sake, if it wasn't a 1 gauge more, I would just say, just fuck it, go Buddy-O.
Yeah.
You know what I would like? This is just a random thought. I would like to see a size 3 dungeon enemy that has some kind of effect that reduces the cost of your spells by 1. I think that would be pretty awesome.
Oh wait, hey! I just realized Buddy charges a card,
and it's a
right?
Demon Lord too, so it can make Dungeon Explosion even less gauge.
Fuck that shit.
Wait, Tim, Buddy charges a card, right? If you can keep Meteor Rain on the field, you can just get 2 gauge every turn. If you use Buddy Charge.
I wouldn't make Meteor Rain my buddy, but yeah, I mean, I've thought about using Buddy Charge.
Buddy Meteor Rain.
Ultimate Meteor Rain, let's go.
Buddy Meteor Rain, I'm done.
Another generic card that I actually really like. I'm not sure if you guys like it.
Even when Red Arrogant came out, I did the same idea. Actually,
Fortune Shield.
Of course. Fortune Shield is great in this.
Fortune Shield's okay. I don't want to say it's great. It's just like literally how I feel about Alerta. It's like it does its job, but it's not that good.
Some people don't run it. Some people do.
No, Fortune Shield's good because you have the Grimoire clone and you're probably running 3 to 4 of it, and it's like it doesn't really matter if you just drop this extra card or not, because you're just gonna dish your hand anyways.
Question for Austin: how is a deep matchup for dungeon enemies? I don't know. I don't play
Greybard.
But Greybard.
Cry when Greybard's out. You can handle every other 3. It's just Greybard. It's fucking annoying.
If you're playing Blisters, playing a little Blisters, size 1 in the center, I think it'd do pretty okay against Deep. Maybe even good against Deep. Because you have the 7K. You got
like if you Mad Geyser plus Dominion Rod, then you're not going to be in too much risk.
But for a size 3 build, no, a Cry. Because you'll probably get Greybard every other meta.
Dungeon enemies don't want to see a Darkness Dragon World because Greybard's too splashable. Greybard's too annoying for that deck.
Really, Greybard is like the ultimate
basically, the worst thing about Greybard, it's like that kind of bully. Catches your pants down, he's gonna kick you in the nuts. Like you have no soul. Meteor Rain, Red Arrogant, or Deo Cruiser. Call the shit. You just take 5 to 6 damage.
As Tim said.
It's annoying.
I think he's about his hair. No, actually.
Well, what I was going to say is my thoughts on it. If I was playing that and I was playing my size 3 deck, what I would most likely do is just not call size 3s.
Really?
Deep doesn't have a whole lot of aggro to use against me, so I would probably wait until much later in the game and then call Meteor Rain into the side.
Only thing Deep does is literally 5 damage max because double attacking things such as Def Talika and Amino Ahari or even Mabel Taker and Death Ruler 13, any other such example, and now Ryga.
And they don't have that much toolboxing to get their size 0s out, so Hidden Crossbow can just take those out, and then you can just get over their whatever their wall in the center is, because you have a bunch of 4K size 0s that just go bonk.
Before we move on, I'm curious.
Even with the new size 0 coming in 100 Thunder, won't even be a factor in that matchup. It's not.
Now that you mention it, Tim, because I want to get it size 3 enemies myself. What matchup are there any more matchups that you would just not call size 3s early game, or is any other matchups where you do awkward things
maybe Danger? Danger could be bad.
Road Blader makes you cry.
It would depend on the type of deck I'm facing, because there are times when I want to call my size 3s to the left or right so I can keep them on the field and then just spam my size 0s over and over again to the center. There are other times when I feel like it would be better to call my size 3 immediately to the center, depending on if I'm trying to stop a bunch of weak attacks or so on and so forth. It really depends on the matchup and how well you open, because the thing that makes dungeon enemies, as Blaze was saying earlier, so unique is that They're kind of like the red mage of the game. They do everything, they just don't do anything amazingly. They can wall, but they don't do it as well as strictly wall decks. They can rush, but they don't do it as good as strictly rush decks. They can do card advantage, but they don't do it as good as strictly card advantage decks. But they can do any one of them at any given time with most of their hands. And that's what makes them so versatile and good enough to handle most matchups. And then when they actually do get a full setup out, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where dungeon enemies are at. But they do have some pretty strong weaknesses, namely Caliber and Glyph, and having their effects negated, especially with something that has a lot of soul.
Fair enough. Sounds like you'd put a size 3 in the center against little weenie rush decks, and then like stall decks, maybe size 3 dragon enemies, you'd put a size 3 on the side.
I think the one deck that maybe outright loses to is Shadow Dive deck, the death decks, because Dungeon doesn't.
I don't have that problem.
Yeah, like hitting crossbow and both burning meteors, like it doesn't seem like that would be a hard.
I feel like I don't think Dungeon enemy takes too much damage early on, like.
Well, that's not the point. The point is that the deck is a grind deck. The whole reason that you play the deck is so that you can use Demon Lord's Dungeon to give you free cards while taking out their cards. So even if they do 2 damage to you with a Shadow Dive effect, you would just take out their Shadow Dive unit by swinging your 1 crit size 0s at it.
But I feel like the last time I was playing this deck against the Shadow Dive deck, they just actually killed me like turn 3 because I couldn't draw into enough of my negates.
We have 16 ways to stop Shadow Dive off the top of my head. We have our 4 Shell Saunas, we have our 4 crossbows, we have all of our burning meteor effects. So we have so many different ways to stop units as they're attacking that I feel like it's not that hard of a matchup, especially when they don't play weapons and all of their creatures are really low in power. And it's even made doubly worse by the fact that Death now is running units that don't have Shadow Dive, because Death has this more mixed, versatile playstyle with units like Gruen and units like
Death Gaze.
Avaria.
Yeah, Avaria is. Oh, you mean Leopard Gnome, right?
Yeah, Leopard Gnome.
Yeah, Leopard Gnome.
So it has all of these units that do different things, and if you have a big creature in your center, they're not getting over that. They're not even getting over your size 0s on the left or right.
Yeah. I don't know. I just had a bad experience with it. Maybe it was a situation.
Now I will say that.
Oh God, wait. Sorry. Sorry to interrupt you, Tim, but someone actually asked about Thunder Spartus or Spaltus.
No, we all know Thunder Spartus is the best size 2 in the game.
No, it's the worst thing I've ever seen in my life.
It was more viable back when the only cards that could stop it was Magical Goodbye and Magical Goodbye. But it was better then. It's not anymore. I used to run it back.
Could have said Magical Goodbye
back in the set 3 format. Even I was thinking about running it in.
Yeah, set 3 Thunder Spartus was good. Then Death Grip came out, and Thunder Spartus became bad. Yeah,
good old Death Grip.
Dominion Rod, that's 10k defense for free. Alert, it was 11k defense and counterattack for free. Like, even Jackknife Gold Ritter could not hit the thing. That's how big it was.
Hey, can't be hit by Jackknife Gold Ritter. It's so great.
But what I was going to say, if I can remember, we were talking about Gruen. Gruen is actually one of the biggest things that keep the deck from being as easy to stop. So the reason why it comes down to a grind match when you talk about Death versus dungeon enemies is because Gruen has the ability to just kill himself immediately. And if you use Burning Meteor, and if you're trying to attack Gruen, and if he's in the center, he's just going to sack himself, and there's not going to be any penetrate damage. So it's going to prolong the game and take out one of your side units. You would obviously try and swing into Gruen, but that has other issues because typically the deck wants to swing into the sides. So when you're playing a Death versus Dungeon matchup, it's going to grind out, and it's going to last a while just because of how those interactions work and how Gruen is immune to penetrate. You want to attack their sides, and you want to attack their center with your center, but then your center doesn't want to attack their center because it's going to be stopped. So it
almost comes down to which deck has kind of the more damage output, and then like
Dungeon Enemies is going to win the matchup 9 times out of 10.
Yeah.
Well, maybe closer to 7.5 times out of 10. But Dungeon Enemies has the advantage in that particular matchup. But once Darkness Dragonwheel gets a little bit more support, Death has the potential to gain a whole lot more back. We'll see how that one works out.
And now people are making jokes like Gummy Slime and Entangle Roper are one of the best dungeon enemies.
Entangle Roper is not a bad option to think about, just because it negates penetrate, and penetrate's becoming very big.
I mean, for that sake, then I don't feel like I want a size 1 for what Diamond Flood does for me.
but then you had flood, so it's like that's not an issue. I think we can revive it, so it's like that's cool. But Gummy Slime has never been really that much of like a good
Gummy
card
Slime was only like really good when like mixed decks wanted to side in against Thunder Knights or Magic
or when actually 80% of Buddy Fighters played Thunder Knights. But but like I don't know, like move is never something that you really care about stopping. Usually.
I did really like it though. One time I played Gummy Slime and I can't remember what I had, but I thought I had something with Penetrate. And I was swinging at their center and I had Gummy Slime out, and they tried to bounce it back to their hand because they were playing Magic World, and then they couldn't.
Oh, that's funny.
What has Penetrate? I can't remember.
Meteor Rain?
No,
One aid.
One eye? The one-eyed guy?
Yeah.
Oh, one-eyed, yeah, one-eyed.
Yeah, it was Keith One-Eyed. That's who it was. So I won a game because of Gummy Slime keeping them from bouncing. That was pretty funny.
That's funny. Huh, hey, so that means that Gummy Slime can stop Schwartz from bouncing back to hand? That's kind of funny.
Yeah, he can do that.
They probably kill Gummy Slime with Dumb Strike, though. Then.
You call 2 Gummy Slime and protect it.
You gotta go full Brandon Chimney. You gotta call 3 Gummy Slimes calling over your Meteor Rain.
And I mean, it could do, I guess, a little trolliness. Like, you go against, say, like, Dark Heroes. They attack with Gwen, deal you damage. They don't return to hand. It's like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
It's like this game's still stuck here.
Whoa.
I can't impact. Or something.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty funny. I mean, hey, so are we going to talk about mix anytime soon?
Yeah, I only have like a few things to say.
Yeah, guys, I'm getting lonely here.
I mean, the deck, there isn't too much to say about it, but I have 4 main things that are very opinionated about the deck. First one, the one that I just always get mad at people about, I think you should run 6 weapons. I think you should run the 2 Glory Seeker or 3 Glory Seeker, and then 2 to 4 Alex Bane. Depends on how you feel.
I think 3-3 is best.
Yeah, I run a 3-3 in my build. Second one, I think you should play aggressive with the deck, and by that I mean a 0, 1, 2 weapon. So a 0, Messiah. I think Messiah just makes that deck the base, because you just keep continuing back Messiah, and you're allowing you for that triple, that 4 attack formation is quite neat. And it allows you to max continue and whatnot, and allows you to have a couple other plays. And you don't have to always do that. Like sometimes you can do, Tetsuya on the side and a few other things.
Simple plays like Tetsuya Glory Seeker or Tetsuya Alex Bane. Like, dude, Tetsuya Alex Bane, like against certain decks, can get you so much gauge.
Oh yeah, all the gauge, baby, all the gauge.
Yeah.
All good times.
That's one deck that I would actually consider running Buddy Help in.
Oh yeah, you can run Buddy Help in that. You can run you can run there's that promo.
Small
generic. No, there's a promo generic from in Japan that's a size 1. It's like when your opponent attacks with a weapon, you can counteract.
Oh wait, no, that's the one.
The Battle Duty Robo one, yeah.
Yeah, you can play that because you gain too much gauge with the side.
Wait, that's a promo? Oh, I thought I was like coming in like another set.
It's a promo. It's a promo Battle Duty Robo.
It's gonna be
it's like Art of Item Blasting, but like during an attack.
Yeah, and it has a body.
Yep, it has a body.
Yes.
I was gonna speak really quick to mixed.
You go for it.
Okay. So here's what I was gonna say about mixed, and the reason why I had it as like tier 1.5 or tier 2.0 on my last tier list, which are now completely irrelevant because we have a rock paper scissors beta. Yay! But the reason why I had it so low is because Dungeon did not have enough defensive spells to make the deck function properly. But with the latest adding in of both Hidden Crossbow and Cassiard, now the deck actually has enough defensive spells, and it's honestly a tier 1 deck again, completely. It didn't even need an offensive boost. All it needed was that extra defensive boost, because if you didn't draw one of your 8 defensive cards previously, and if Glory Seeker didn't win it for you, then you pretty much lost the game.
Mm-hmm.
And then also another thing about it is that now you can play this card advantage grind game because you have all of these cards like Continue and your mission cards if you're choosing to run them, and your Orser Kleins?
Orser Kleins, yes.
And you have all of these card advantage engines that you can use. So now you can swing into their side units if you want to, and you can start getting you can start reducing all of their cards and then just building up a bunch of cards for yourself. And I actually think it's worth it now to be actually using defeat monsters. and you can just get all of these free cards, and then all of a sudden you're sitting here and you have mountains and mountains of cards, and your opponent is dwindling on their card resources, and now you actually have the defensive cards in your deck that you're more likely to draw into to stall the game out and make it so that you just overwhelm your opponent with cards. And I feel like that's actually making it a lot better than it used to be, and it would be significantly better of a deck to play right now than it was back then.
But now that Phoenix Radiation is out, you don't even have to attack their side. Just blast them away later. It's like, no problem.
I mean, but it is a life break
you
impact, so it's not
monsters,
like
that's why.
Go off like 90% of the time.
Yeah.
But that actually leads really good into my next two segments. The other thing I was gonna say is I think the deck can place you can play 4 to 6 size 3s in mixed really, really good, like extremely well, because you have Messiah, Legendary Messiah. So you are able to gain the life through continue, and you're able to gain gauge to play the size 3. So now you get rid of the problems that deck had, the pure dungeon enemies. So it's like, okay, now I have the life gain, and I have the gauge gain. You have Cascade, so you can put them on the side, and allows you to have better matchups against the decks that normally either adventurers would have bad matchups up against, like Raging Spirits, because you can put in Red Arrogant, and it works really well. And you can use with Orc Appliance. It mixes very nicely. I think you should run. I run 6 size 3s in my deck, in my mixed deck. I'm switching between the Flood as a 2 of, and the Lag as a 2 of. I'm leaning more towards the Flood, but I'm not really sure. And then the 4 Red Arrogant.
I think 4 Arrogant's enough, but
yeah, I mean you can't just run the 4 Red Arrogant. But I'm testing out the 6 to mess around.
Arrogant in a mixed deck works so well. Like if you do run Phoenix Radiation, like it works so well because even some spells could be ditched, like continue and
the Phoenix Radiation impact.
Yeah, Phoenix Radiation can be ditched, which is like so cool.
Mm-hmm. And then the last thing I wanted to say, so the way Tim brought up his for defeat monsters, if you're gonna run that, if you're gonna run like a sit on the center deal, you probably run less weapons in that case. You probably run like 4 to 3, even 3. All right, I can give you that, or maybe 5, depending on how you feel. But if you're running my more aggressive variant with like the triple formation and being able to move in the center, or running the system and being able to like switch over size 3s, whichever you need, I strongly suggest. I don't think Form of Party is a good card in mixed anymore. I just don't think it's a good card in mixed anymore. You don't have as many targets to search for. Your main target's going to be like continue and whatnot, which is good. But the problem I think with it is that it takes up too much space for all the defensive spells that Tim was mentioning. That if you're running all these mission cards, you really don't have room for Shelsana, then the Pillar Fires, then the Cascades, then the 4 continue, the hidden crossbows, and all the weapons. If you're running that, like you don't have room for the mission cards. Like that, it just isn't. There's no room. And you can play like
decks. You're playing like over 20 monsters, so it's just like
you could play like 2 Hot Springs or 3 Hot Springs or like the 2 of defeat monsters just as a tech of, but you won't be able to run like a consistent number of mission cards for a Form of Party to make use. And more often than not, it's gonna end up either being I drew my perfect combo piece and now I'm gonna sack to the win and believe, or it's a dead draw, and it's like it's not worth the dead draw that you could be running other defensive spells and other tech and mission cards like either defeat monsters, Hot Springs, or even Oracle, whichever one that you prefer as your recovery option. So I don't think Form of Party is worth it anymore. What do you guys think?
Form of Party's bad and mixed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you on the state. Like, you are running more enemies now because they actually do work. Like you said, the Flood and Red Arrogant could work in a mixed deck, help you go for like a more tempo feel, but you're still aggressive. But like, and it doesn't really help like if you feel like you need some of the adventure half, then like I would just say like if you really feel like it, just full Form of Party, no other mission card. So like.
That's very risky, though. See that?
That's too risky.
I can't think of anything like that can make it work if you're trying to still run a mission card.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
no, I was thinking of saying that, like just run Form of Party, but right now we don't have a way to search out mission cards, so it's a dead draw extremely now. It's just like a complete dead draw. It's like
you're better off running something else.
Yamizuchi.
And then the problem is
we already talked about Shido's atrocious attack and defense. Like it's just
we already mentioned that early in the stream. But the last thing, Tim might have been about to mention it, but if you run a 4-former party, every time you play a former party, you lose a card in hand. So if you don't play another mission card that isn't from a party and then get that mission card to trigger off, you're constantly -1 in hand. So it's pretty much discard. You're pretty much discard 1, gain a life, and then you search your deck, which is not that good.
And I was gonna say, my thoughts on Form a Party as far as the necessity of it is that the card has lost its meaning. We used to have a bunch of cards that were, good as 2-ofs, 3-ofs, and then we could just kind of toolbox our deck for them. But that's no longer necessary because we don't need the deck thinning in order to reach our actual 8 defensive spells now that we have 16 of them. So the actual need for deck thinning that the card was giving us is no longer as important. We have a bunch of good cards that have now replaced the otherwise filler in the deck that the mission cards were taking the spot of so that we could do the toolboxing.
Yeah, and now if you want to run mission cards, they're actually more deck clogged than deck thinning.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not what you want.
And so it becomes really awkward over this. It might just be best to take them out completely. And
I agree.
Well, I still think that there is place for defeat monsters in it.
Defeat monsters, I would actually leave at a 2, but you have enough gauge with Elfsbane that I think you could just run Buddy Help and not really care about the gauge. I mean, if you're running 4-2, you have
That's a fair point.
Yeah,
Japan runs Buddy Help, as you were saying, Bliss, and they actually, as I was saying, they completely drop mission cards in mix. They drop
because defeat monsters, while it's great, it's slightly slow. And I think, especially if you want red arrogant,
I would refer to it as the fancy nice one of Dungeon World, or just mix or adventure. It's it could get for 1 gauge, it could get you 2 cards, but I think it's riskier because one, your opponent control you and destroy it when it has a soul.
Yeah, they can interact with it.
So then you just wasted a gauge for something that didn't even get you shit, and then even if you do get the 2 cards and it procs, unless the 2 cards are gonna save you, I don't think. Even then, I would just say you just wasted a lot of time getting 2 cards to your hand, which I think that's what Buddy Help would just do better.
That's probably the worst part about it is that unfortunately, the interaction with the other player is what kills it the most. Because now you're allowing your opponent to deny you cards. So if they deny you the ability to kill one of your other monsters, and now you only have 1 card underneath it, you have to wait another turn just to hopefully get the card.
Yeah, I'd rather just get instant card advantage.
The deck, like how Austin brought out, it's more aggressive. So if you're wasting time to try and get rid of this thing since it's being more of a nuisance than a help, then your opponent can just fiddle around with you and you're not really gaining anything.
Yeah, thankfully with mixed you can play defensive. You have the option to, and it works out quite well. And that's where the Buddy Help comes in. It's much more preferable.
Yeah, of course, if you're going to run Buddy Help, you should run more Elfsbane than Glory Seeker and probably ditch more...
really a couple 1-gauge demons. I mean, they're good continued targets.
Max Sasuke, I'm just saying. If you're running the Buddy Help, get on
Sasuke, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
And then the Orser for gauge, yeah, it's good times, good times.
Yeah, see, both Orser and Tsugu and Messiah give gauge, so it's Buddy Help is pretty cheap.
Yeah. And that's pretty much all I have to say on mix. That's pretty much all my ideas. Anyone else? Anything else?
That's mostly it. I think mix is the strongest.
Yeah. Should we move on to one little thing before
we
go on?
I remember... Oh, sorry. What?
I was going to say, should we talk about the Omni Lords and what Omni Lords do go in decks and which Omni Lords do not go in any of the decks?
Because let's go with that.
Alright, Zian, please, guys. I know you all think that penetrate, act like Neo drum ability sounds good.
Wait. Nobody thinks Zian is good. Please don't address those people. We need them to stay ignorant so that we can beat them.
I like Zian in my adventure. I like Zian in my adventure deck, man.
Bruh.
Fight you on that.
Yo, all the hate for Zion, Jesus
I don't like him, and I don't think people. They can like him, but I don't want.
I would never run Zion in a dungeon enemy deck because that'd be stupid. But in adventures,
I've seen skull players put 2 of them. I see Katana World playing a lot of them. I'm like, why do you play this thing?
Because he has
I've been messing around with it
in his name. That's why.
Has Omni Lord. No, I've been messing around with it. It's okay. It's a good filler size 3 for adventures because they don't have anything. But even then, the filler size 3s, they don't make up for it.
I'll be honest.
Not in Tenbu, I don't know. We don't know the other Omni Lords, but unless they, we do know what Asmodai does and other Omni Drum.
Yeah, we know what the drums
But
do.
I'm saying like the other ones, like the Bon Enma, Ancient World one, Kiri, and whatever the 8th one is.
I'm telling you, it's gonna be. I'm telling you, it's gonna be a Endanger weapon with like fucking 6 ammo, like with like 8 ammo caches.
No.
Yes.
It's gonna. You say it's gonna be like a Durandal, like it's a
It's gonna be a generic world monster.
I swear to everything.
All right, but actually, regarding like the playable Omnilords, I actually don't think you run Countdown and Dungeon Enemies ever, because you don't want to neg that life every turn, and you revive anything you want anyways.
Yeah, Demon Lord's Dungeon. Like when I see people like go like Countdown as like good card in enemies, I'm like, really? Tell me why.
Countdown is not a good card in every single deck. It's a good card in a lot of decks.
It's a good thing in like 100 Demons, like in other things, but like Dungeon Enemies, you have like other zeros that do its job even better.
You have no life gain. That's actually the more issue.
You don't really need to run Countdown and Mixed either because you have Continue. However, Countdown
and Bronze Gold.
No, wait. I would run Countdown and Mix because it guarantees you the 0, 1, 2.
You don't have. I wasn't saying you shouldn't. I was just saying you don't have to. It's an option.
No, but I would 100% do it. It guarantees 0, 1, 2.
Countdown 100%.
I'll be honest.
Absolutely.
I would probably run Countdown and Mixed for one reason, and that's life management. You have an impact that has a life break requirement, and by managing your own life, you have the capacity to control.
Yeah, you gotta manage your own life just to actually get there.
Not to mention Duval Live.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Hitting yourself from 6 to 5 is like huge.
Like that is like it's so groundbreaking. Like it's not.
Under Demon Yamazuchi. Okay, I see your point. Like if someone spell knows a buddy help, that'll be awful. Okay, you lost 3 gauge in a process, didn't get shit out of it. Your opponent wasted a card that can potentially win them the game even. So I think that's a good trade-off.
Like really.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't mind that. I'd be like indifferent. Depends on
like
the scenario.
go against Legend World, they use like a Brethren Guard in this. I'd be like, I don't give a fuck.
Okay, all right.
Like unless the buddy helps the only card in my hand, that's the only time I'll actually cry.
Like
the only time,
like top deck buddy help and then use it.
I need to mention.
I've done that before.
For buddy help. Countdown Adventures. Countdown Adventures. Countdown Adventures. Oh my goodness! Yes. I recently put Countdown in my Adventures deck. It makes Glory Seeker radical. It makes everything just so beautiful. I'm like, oh my goodness, you can do so many things with it. It's just like options for days in that deck. I'm like, wow, Countdown and Adventures. I think you need to run it. As of right now, you need to run it. It's your only size 0.
Back the fuck out.
It's your only size 0 that you can do, so you can do cool plays with Tsuku. Allows you to recover, allows you to switch into defense with Drum, and then it just allows for you to discard something with the Glory Seeker and then get it back the next turn. It's like, okay.
And 4K beater, man.
Like, really?
And in the deck gains, it has 12 ways to gain life, assuming you're not already lucky.
Enough on Dawn. Thoughts on Tenbu?
I mean, Tenbu? I don't run Tenbu Adventures.
Honestly, I say more side if anything.
I'm not really a fan of Tenbu.
I can't think of an instance where Tenbu would be that useful.
Yeah, I honestly don't think Tenbu is that great.
I mean, yeah, because Red Arrow can kind of already does his jobs better.
Because we have like the best size 3s in like a lot of different worlds.
If I was gonna play size 3s, I'd rather just play Red Arrogant and be like, all right, whatever, man. I'll just play Red Arrogant in my adventure deck. Who cares if it's not here? And deal with it.
Yeah.
And then I don't think we need to talk about the Star Dragon World card because that card is.
Variable code. I can't even think of it working outside of even its own deck.
Oh man, it's finally like we have an Omnilord that's worse than Xian.
Like yeah, it looks cool. You can if you want to run all the Omnilords in your dungeon deck and be like, look at me, I'm an Omnilord dungeon player. Be like, go for it, baby. I'll probably make a deck like that. I'll make an all Omnilord in Dungeon World just for kicks and be like, here it is.
The only time I've ever seen that card, even outside of Star Dragon World, was one time when I went against someone at like locals. It was so weird. Like he played variable court, variable court and 100 demon, and put like Lindworm and Soul, and I was just like, the fuck.
Okay, alright. To be fair, it has some play in Hero World because of the new size 0s, and it has some play in Magic World because they get a lot of hand, and you can actually transition it into Soul, which is it's okay, I think.
But
terrible.
Its defense is abysmal and terrible. Like it's even with Soul Guard, it doesn't excuse it.
But
I was really
Jalen,
I was really excited to put cards in your hand to the soul.
massive.
If it was actually
protection.
if it was a 2-gauge top deck soul charge, that'd be really awesome. But I guess I'd defeat the point. So yeah.
Then we might as well just kick Variable Cord out and say Giant Star Lightning, you're the new Omnilord.
But Jalen, massive protection.
Okay, no, shut up. The anime is not gonna justify how good that because he had the perfect way to draw 3 cards.
Massive
like, 3 turns
protection.
straight.
You know, it'd be really funny.
Average, someone would stop that easily.
Would be really funny if he was fighting against Magic World or Katana World, and then he's like, okay, all these 9 cards are going into my soul for the call cost, and then they just negate it.
Be gone? Oh, no buddy life either. Oh.
In the arms of the angel from above.
But it's like, every card has one of the 2 weaknesses. Either they lose all of their soul from Begone, or they lose all of their soul to Death Grip. So, that's,
Rip. Rippy rips. Yeah, the cards, no.
Alright,
But anyways,
Austin, what do you want to talk about now? We've talked about all the archetypes.
Well, we talked about everything. I guess pretty much now we're doing a closing out segment. Since we pretty much ran quite nicely, I can do it. I can make use of cord. All right, fair enough. We're just gonna talk about how we feel about the decks right now, maybe as a viability statement. A little bit closing words on the deck in the meta, and how we feel it's gonna go doing so in this World Qualifiers. Which is a little bit tough because right now we just got Brave Machines and they're like, whoa, baby. But I don't know. I feel it's a little bit hard to call for dungeon enemies.
All right, so I personally think Tim's variant on size 3 dungeon enemies has a pretty fair chance against Brave Machines, just because you have the ability to have like a huge attacker. If you call, of course, against Brave Machines, then you're like, all right, they're gonna play Kaiserion, we're gonna play Red Arrogate or something to the side because I'm not gonna get penetrated twice, right? So
or call Flood to the center. Yeah.
Yeah, or call Flood to the center. So you have like variations. I think you have pretty good a pretty good chance, especially since that deck should take care of any other counters or any other decks that try to counter Kaiserion that have Raging Spirits, right? Since you trash that build, so like. You're pretty good for like a rogue off-meta choice.
Like the only problem in the Brave Machine matchup, I think, is just Steel Body. Just gotta be wary of it. It's fucking annoying.
Yeah, but you lose to everything at that point. I think for size 1 rush, or the build that I was detailing using the reviving Living Mad Gazer. Unfortunately, Living Mad Gazer only hits 4,000 attack and not 5,000. If it hit 1,000 more. I would say, yeah, it has a pretty good chance against Kaiserion because you set up faster, and until they get Shark into their soul, like you're still wailing on them for 2 crit. But since that doesn't happen, I think you actually do pretty poorly. And so I guess that's like the only really relevant deck to talk about. So yeah, if you want to have a good chance in the current meta, you'd probably want to play very Red Arrogant size 3 base. So
yeah, even adventures like if they're running the Air Raid clone. In Brave Machines, like adventures, they're done. They can't beat it. Like
you try and attack with either weapons, they just go air raid.
Destroy your weapon and you lose. I'm sorry, but it happens. They destroy your weapon, and you're like, okay, well, guess I lose. You have to switch to another weapon. And Glory Seeker is right now your best rushing weapon.
I think the one problem with Kaiserion is like literally decks either lack the any soul removal, or they either lack the They lack, I think every deck lacks enough item hate to kill this shit like at least 2 turns.
Mix could probably do a better job at beating the deck because it has a lot of 5k attackers and you can link attack for 10k, so you can kind of avoid its little silliness.
All we need is a generic Begone for items.
Yes.
That'd be really nice. That'd be nice. I
actually think Mix does a really good job because
we have Begone in 2 worlds. Why is there still no like card in general that stops when like something is equipped?
Wait. I think Mix does a great job because it maximizes the use of Phoenix Radiation. And the one weakness of Kaiserion is that it can't do anything against burn damage. Yeah. And Phoenix Radiation just burns them to death. It's pretty good. Alex Blade also hits Kaiserion even after 1/Arc, which is like really good. And then Yeah, you have a lot.
You
of
can just
good
keep
options,
link
I guess.
attacking them for you can keep link attacking them until they
And
take
Naboru,
damage.
and I mean it's not much, but Naboru can do a little bit.
Yeah.
Drum helps a lot in that matchup. Like, oh god, well, it helps bro a lot.
Let's see. Question wise, no one talked about Levana's the size 1 that becomes 3 crit. I
No,
don't think it's that
things
good.
are relevant. It's not good. It's not as good as it used to be. It's not
Yeah.
bad. It's not as good as it used to be though.
There's a lot better
Dungeon
options.
Gotten a Shower Guard clone wouldn't help.
And I would be indifferent to. It'd be like one of those cards was like, okay, cool, we got it, and that's nice and all, but I don't.
I mean, it's somewhat okay, but that's what Orser is. Like, it's hard to say should Dungeon have should have a spell version of Orser Kleins. Like,
I'd run that as a 4 of, and I'd run that as a 4 of in a Dungeon Enemy size 3 deck because that'd be amazing.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, it helps you like get gauge back, and you can avoid penetrates. So yeah.
And that'd be amazing.
I mean,
size 3
you would still take lifelink, but whatever.
Yeah, you deal with it.
Well, it's like, let's say you're going to get penetrated for 3 anyway. Might as well. It stops the penetrate, you still take the lifelink, but you just reduce how much damage you're going to take, and you got the gauge and the draw off of it.
Yeah. Sounds really good in that. And you can kill your size 0s and then revive them back. So it sounds really good for Dungeon Enemies. Wouldn't do much for
I mean, like most decks would want, but only one deck is going to have it probably for all eternity. A Dark Energy clone would be nice. Like, really fucking nice.
Or just a Rat Trigger. I would pay for
or
a
a 4K or a 4K
Now,
defense.
let's be nice. It's a Rat Trigger that doesn't cost a life. Dungeon Enemies do not want to be Ancient World status.
It's better than taking Lifelink 3. So.
I mean, but you would still take Penetrate, lose a life, and...
No, you don't take Penetrate with Rat Trigger.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, you do.
Wait, what?
That's the
It
whole
prevents
thing
it from-
Dark Energy works with.
Dark Energy
Dark
is
Energy
the only card
prevents
that nullifies destruction.
Penetrate
Wait, Rat
has
Trigger
to,
doesn't
like,
nullify
destroy a
destruction?
card.
No, it says the next time this card will leave the field.
It keeps it remaining on the field. Dragonberry,
Oh my
if it's not
God,
Dark Energy,
seriously?
Dragon Barrier, Rat Trigger, and Dragobond don't help with Penetrate.
Oh my god, I didn't notice that.
The only thing that stops penetrate is Dark Energy, and that's why, as Jalen said, another clone would be nice.
Alright, okay, I see what you mean. Oh
There's a
man.
screaming child in my house.
We need to all talk really emphatically at the same time.
Yeah.
we do.
Yes, boss.
For adventures in the meta, their best card, which was one of their better cards against the rough matchups they had, Shido, recently became absolutely trash with Hero World.
Recently became absolutely trash.
Like,
I mean, it's true. I mean, like,
Chris
Hero
mentioned
World, it does nothing. Raging Spirits, it does nothing.
Well, granted, Chris mentioned that you can charge it, and that's true. But the problem is that I, as a player, don't. And I know a few other players don't like it as well. I don't like dead draws, especially in a deck that already has enough dead draws.
No, Austin, I love dead draws.
Oh, he loves. Blisters loves the dead draws.
When I'm playing Skull Warriors, all of my draws are dead.
Really, Tim? You made that?
Bruh.
Oh, that's actually good.
Well, see, this is why I quit Skulls, because I hate him like dead draws, so I'm done with that.
Oh man,
Why'd you build the deck?
are dead.
But, yeah, Shido got to get smooth. So I think we have to wait to see what comes out for
And 100
3.
100 Thunder needs to get, like, there needs to be something else. At least 100. I want at least 100 demons to have a good matchup against them.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think
Like, if they get, like, if 100 demons finally get some item destruction outside of Cocytus and Orthos, I think that'd be nice.
Yeah, see, that's enough item destruction, you asswipe.
I'm waiting to see set 3 though. I think that's gonna be either a game changer or it doesn't do anything.
Yeah, like, dude, I don't want to think of like it was so funny. Like Joey went like, "Oh, damn, you don't even use wizards that much." I'm like, "I'm not gonna sell it." It's like, "Why?" I'm like, "Also, a Sword of Omni Lord." So I would sell a magical deck when it's gonna get like support in like a couple months.
Yeah,
You know?
unfortunately, every time I say something is a game changer, it usually isn't. It's the complete opposite. So odds are it will do crap for adventures. But who knows? Maybe in the future.
I honestly feel it's gonna be a game. I honestly feel it's gonna be a game changer.
Don't say that, man. Don't jinx it. We need something in the set. Because with Raging Spirits getting support, I can't even deal. Done. Need something. There might
Watch that
be
Bond Ammo one's gonna be like 10.
Sun punch dragons.
There's a lot of things we'd hope for, though. It really depends. We can't really the problem is, as much as I want to talk about how they'd be effective in Worlds, just flat out, decks good against adventurers are good against Dark Heroes, but that's not the main thing. It's a little bit tough. Your best bets right now are size 3 dungeon enemies and Mix just to go against Braves, but until then, it's kind of like a little bit tough to call because we don't know what comes out.
And then if anyone was thinking somehow, oh, what does a mirror match look like? It's like, depending on it, I don't know, Rolling Stone works, like against a size 3 enemy deck or even a mixed deck that plays a couple size 3s.
Yeah, that's about it. Any final thoughts, guys? Any final questions, chat? Which I think they're pretty much good. I asked a while ago, yeah.
The fact that Shido can't even hit Einder is kind of sad. No, it doesn't need to hit Einder. It needs to hit for face. But now it can't do that, so Shido sucks.
I think I think he means like if you fucking transform into an Einder, you're like, oh.
Oh, yeah, just transform into anything. It's just funny.
Oh my god.
The one thing Einder can block.
Like literally.
Oh, poor Shido.
I don't have anything. Do you have anything, Tim?
Not at the moment.
Yeah, pretty good.
Alright, so I think we pretty much got everything out. We tried to talk about everything.
Wait, there's one thing we forgot.
Hanako, where's she at?
Actor Knights the world with all of the size 0 dungeon enemies.
Is that the Persona deck?
That's the card that gives you another turn. It gives you another turn so you can bonk them with your
like Actor Knight's the Fool or something? Like,
yeah, you have to have one in hand and one in your drop zone. You have to put them both at the bottom of your deck and pay 3 gauge, then you get another turn.
Okay, and then what do you do with the extra turn?
You swing at them with all of your size 0s.
No, Blaze, you drop a steamroller on them. What are you doing?
What?
Actually, to be honest, I wanted to make Tim, if you can somehow make an Adventurers Tarot deck, so I can be like, Persona! I'll be like, yes, Tim, I love you.
Adventurer Tarot.
Because I'm like, yeah, all the Personas, man. You got the Magician, you got the Fool, you got the Adventurers, it'd be beautiful.
How would it be Adventure at that point, though?
You don't know. You gotta figure it out. You gotta figure it out, Tim. I believe in you. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Also, Jalen's most favorite part. What is he talking about? It's saying I have nothing against naval bonds. I just think it's shitty, somewhat.
Alright.
Naval bonds just like
I
0,
don't
1,
know
0. I hate that thing. It's bad.
Yeah, we talked about all the new cards in the set too. Alright, we're good. In 100 Demon wise, I have no idea what's gonna come out, but I mean,
we know like a couple of things. Like we've said, like Evil Dread, like the best size, like great burn damage for certain matchups. Anyway,
in rush decks, in
rush everyone's always like, as soon as that card like was shown in the anime and everything, everyone's like, oh my god, best fucking dungeon enemy. Like, oh, I hate this thing.
Hold on. I like that card in my rush deck for adventures because you just
it's good in rush.
Double 4 in my rush mix version.
4 and like certain matchups. I think
you just like you throw it. You don't throw early game, late game, like mad late game. You just go, all right, you're at 3 or 4 or 5 life. Throw them down. GG.
I mean, that's the point of it. But that's my problem with him. Like, he's only good late game. Like early game, you can't keep him long enough for early game because 7K defense isn't enough to cut it, and also no soul guard, and also go against you would never want to like keep this thing in like your deck if like it's in your main for some reason. Well, I would side 2 of them like against like any matchup that can't just downright destroy him in a single turn. Yeah. Like if it's not like Dragon World, Hero World, or Darkness Dragon World, I'll side it in.
I mean, it's not that bad if you open with it and then you just have open center with a weapon, put a size 0 on the side, and then just spam Cast Yard when he does die so that you don't take that much damage from it. And the amount of value that you get out of having 4 crit double attack is just stupid.
Mm-hmm.
That card is just dumb. I think it's really good. I think it's like stupid good. It's just an all or nothing kind of good. So like
that's what I'm saying. It's an all or nothing, and I don't want like a card where it's like it's super risk if it goes or not.
I mean,
I think Dungeon Enemy can't afford to extend that much.
But it's so fun. You're just like bonk, bonk.
Ogre.
Oh, you're playing Gold Ritter, huh? I don't care. Bonk. Bonk.
Ogre crush.
You think you're big? I'm bigger.
Yo, Iron Cyclops too good, son. I'm telling you. I cannot wait for that to come out, son. I'm throwing like 3 of those shits in my deck.
I think the best thing about that card is the surprise element, but I still think it's an overextension. So whatever.
Just.
But I mean, there are ways to mitigate how much it hurts you for overextending. The gauge cost is a little bit hefty, but the lifelink can be mitigated with Cassiard, and having open center with the weapon, the 6K bonka thing, can't remember what it's called.
Alex Bane. That game's gauge. And
I preferred Lycus Bane, but she was just like, let's change it for no reason.
But if you have those two out, and then any size 0, doesn't even matter what the size 0 is at that point, you have a lot of value on your field. And it even makes Dragontooth Warrior a little bit more value.
Like,
really? I mean, in all, that would be a 5-gauge field. I wouldn't think that's going to happen a lot.
Not unless you spam Shook from the side, Suku, bam, got him.
But there are ways to make it work, and I think that it actually has some potential. I think that the card is properly costed for what it does, and what it does is ridiculous.
Yes.
Well, you go, Tim. I'll await your results in a few months.
And that's how we close out the stream, the callouts.
Thank you everyone for watching, and I hope this was a lot of insight on Dungeon World in general for you. Which one you would rather go with in this current meta, or even ones for fun.
Oh, if people are wondering where this came from, it's from the reason we're doing this is because of the NA North American Facebook Buddyfight page, the North American Buddyfight group, Future Card Buddyfight group. There we go. They're having an entire world view, so they're checking out every single world. There's a discussion group going for every world. I don't think everyone's doing a live stream. We just chose to because we'd like to have the audience watch it as we go. But I do know people.
And if you didn't get a chance to watch it, then you can, once this is uploaded to YouTube and the stream is done, you can watch and get all the tips you need to know. You would need to know as of Shadow vs. Hero, but / Miracle Impact meta on Dungeon World in general.
Yep. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and thank you, Blisters, Chris, and Timmy for joining us.
Remember the 3Ds, people. Don't doubt Dungeon.
Fair enough.
It was fun. It was fun.
I mean, I guess.
Guess what, Tim?
Whoa,
I mean, I guess.
Tim.
Tim plus.
Tim.
But I'm a Katana World main.
Alright, well, peace out in the chat. We're done. Bye.